Oh, hey, look at that. I am muted. Hey, Pagu. Hello, Axeman. Hello, JarlCarl. Yeah, Mike is muted. You're right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, I told you it was going to be informal. I also, part of the reason I wanted to do this is to test out if the internet fix that I did worked. So far, it seems to be fine. We've dropped no frames. We stream solidly at 31K. So I'm going to try to actually bump that up in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get into it. So the video today is... Oh, it's a Twitch VOD. Okay, cool. That's fine. That is totally fine. So, game one. Yep, this is fine. I'm excited Axeman's in this too. So we'll try to go through both, but again, the focus will be on your JarlCarl since that's what we're doing it for. So, hello, ad. Oh my gosh, yes, we get an ad. Even on VODs. And have you noticed that the Twitch VODs get higher and higher? Hey, Just Express, how's it going? Hey, nice. If you disappear, we'll know why. There you go. Exactly. No, I need you to let me know. I need you to let me know. Tell me what's up. Tell me what's up. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's skip through, obviously, everything into at least picks and bans. That's what really matters. TDM versus coin flippers. Here we go. Let's back up a little bit to the beginning of picks and bans. So basically, I'm going to be taking it, again, I've never really done this before. What I'm going to do is kind of take it event by event and try to kind of break it down a little bit in the background, like pausing when there's something that's important to go over and stuff. So let's actually pause this, back up a little bit more. I want to hear the intro to this. Keep backing up.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's still more.
Today.
Oh, almost there. This is a really cool, like, picture. I like that. If it's too loud, what? Okay, so at the moment, the audio, I have nearly maxed out on this, and I can barely hear it over my headset, which my headset's pretty, it's a little bit low. I guess you can't actually see it. It's kind of behind my webcam, but don't worry about it. The main thing is if the music is super high, and this is a more production thing than a caster thing. The music is like high, really, really high right now. And then you hear the casters come in. Backed up a little too far, I guess, there. You can almost not even hear the casters. This is a production thing, not even the actual casters thing. So, but if you're the casters also running this, something to know.
Team Dark Matter Academy.
There you go. Now they bumped the audio up. So.
For a share of the
Team Dark Academy.
United States dollar prize pool.
I'm gonna back up one more time. I think that there probably could have been a little bit more energy, regardless of volume. I'll get into energy and crispiness here in a second. I used a little bit of my own terminology.
Welcome to Style Esports Season 2 Grand Finals today.
Okay, so here's what happened. Here's what happened. Yeah, I talk so slow. And this is something to know. This is why I was going to bring this up. There's a huge difference between welcome to Style Esports Grand Finals. Today, we have, there's just so many long pauses. And usually that happens because you're not confident with what it is that you're trying to say. Something to take note of is, for me, when it comes to intros and outros and team names, I have them right here. Like on my screen, right in front of me. I write it out. Sometimes I'll write it out multiple times over, so I'm putting it in my head multiple times and making sure that I know exactly what it is that I'm going to be saying. Especially when it comes to sponsor pitches, you're going to have to be able to go very quickly through, this event is sponsored by blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much for your participation, and et cetera, et cetera. Check them out over here. And so when you're hesitant, and those pauses are mental recalibrations as you're going, okay, the event is... Welcome to, what is the event again? The event is Style Esports, what's it? Oh, it's the Grand Finals, but the teams are Team Dark Academy, let me find it on my screen here, and Coin Flippers. So if you've written it out already and you've kind of mouthed it over your head a couple of times, especially if you mute your own microphone and you just kind of do welcome to this, welcome to this, welcome to this, welcome to this, then you'll be a little bit more familiar with it. The one that I try to copy most actually is Dash from the LCS, because he has an amazing style of being energetic while at the same time not too over the top. He kind of just goes, welcome back to the LCS. My name's Dash and we have ourselves an amazing game set up here, blah, blah, blah. He just burns right through what the event is because everyone knows why they're there. If you are showing up to an event out of the blue and you're there at the intro of it, you're a strange person. Almost nobody shows up to an event that doesn't know that it's happening at the very beginning. Most of the time, people are showing up mid-game if they're coming out of nowhere, and people that are showing up from the very beginning, that are there at the very, very beginning of the stream, they know why they're there. They know what the event is. They know who's playing because they're here to support one of the teams. So there's no reason for you to drag it out or make anything super crazy. You're just there to introduce what the event is about. Welcome to Untitled Esports. My name is this is my that. This is also something, if possible, that I would do is, especially when it comes to amateur esports, introduce yourself and introduce who the other voice is as close as you can to the beginning. And the important reason why is because for people to make a connection with who is talking, they need to know who's on the other end of the voice. And when you watch YouTubers that don't have any videos, Let's Game It Out does an amazing job of this, is that every single intro starts right off the bat with, welcome to Let's Gaming Out, this is the game, I'm Josh, that's Anthony, blah, 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 let's get into it. Because most people that are there know why, but people that might not be super familiar with it will want to know who it is that's these voices. So if you start by saying, welcome to Untitled Esports, my name's Jake Kelton, today we have the grand finals, I'm joined by blah, 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 on the desk, so-and-so, what are you excited about these two teams? Or so-and-so, why don't you introduce these teams? Or, welcome to Untitled Esports, my name's Jake Kelton, today we have Team Doom Gloom, I don't know these names, versus Coin Flippers, I'm joined today on the broadcast by so-and-so, welcome, and then you give the other person a chance to speak. This is also the thing, don't introduce the other person, and then just keep talking over them, blah, 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 blah. Introduce the other person with a, welcome so-and-so, I'm joined on the broadcast today by so-and-so. And you leave it flat there so that they can then say, hello, thank you everyone, today we've got some amazing games, and take it over. Or you can say, I'm joined today on the broadcast by so-and-so, are you excited about these games? Because I know I am. Because you're then leading in to them being able to do their own introduction. I am incredibly excited. Thank you, I'm so glad to be here tonight, blah, blah, blah. And already your viewers that are listening have connected. Voice number 1 is A, voice number 2 is B, they have their names in their head, and now they know who is who. Every now and then, it's okay to actually do that, even in mid-game, because, again, the way for your viewers to connect to who it is that's doing the actual voices is through those names. So I know I've been on this for forever and ever and ever, but I think that it's super important. Blah, blah, blah is my favorite caster. Wait, hold on, what's going on? I gotta back this up. Yo, Sandstorm, why are you here? That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, welcome, though. We're going over caster VODs, so usually an issue for him, not exactly what happened here, but it's interesting to see how much boring it sounds when there's breaks. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm so lost what is happening. We're doing VOD review. That's why it's in the name. Casting VOD review. Kelton reminds me of Plankton from SpongeBob. I don't know if that's good or bad. I hope that it's not. I hope that's a good thing. So
between Team Dark Matter Academy and the Coin Flippers for a share of the 200 United States dollar prize pool, bringing you the action.
200 USD. I like it.
Axeman 87, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. It's an exciting
Axeman!
time. Yeah, this is the best of 5 that the whole
I'm gonna turn the audio up a little bit because the casters are kind of low.
These are undisputedly the 2 best teams.
Did you guys hear what's going on?
Right now, and yeah, I don't think I could be more excited to watch them go at it here.
Axeman's voice is beautiful.
A lot of time with these teams too, at the best of 5, right? So it should be a good time.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I like that. So, introducing the stakes is really good. It's a grand finals. Introducing what the event is. It's a best of 5. I like that. And I like that Axeman is bringing a little bit of energy. You probably could bump it up just a touch more, but at the same time, you don't want to bring crazy amount of energy into a best of 5 game 1. And the reason why is because if you start the best of 5 game 1, oh my gosh, welcome everyone, it's game 1, ah! Then by the time that you get to game 5, how are you going to top that? You're already at 11. So it's okay to start off a best of 5 where you know it's going to be a little bit more of a marathon than necessarily a sprint. It's okay to start that off at a 7 or an 8 and then kind of pick it up from there over the games as things get more intense and a bit closer. Because already game 5 or a 5-game series, you're going to have at least 3 games. So it's going to be a little bit. You're here more to get familiar with the teams. I'm going to keep playing this and see if they go into something else.
Like we have been talking about already, the only best of 5 of the season, so definitely worthy of the grand finals. We will be hopping into Champion Select in just a couple of minutes. Going to build some suspense.
So they are quieter. They are quiet than me, but that's because I have maxed out the Twitch. They are just quiet.
Definitely, kind of
the production has them a little on the quieter side. I can drop myself down a little bit though.
Is the champion of the Demacian division and the champion of the Ionian division. Not
okay,
two
good.
Teams that we see.
They're doing a decent job of, and I say they, but I know you guys are actually here and there, so definitely production thing. Right, so please don't hear those random comments about caster audio and stuff on judgment on casters, right? I know this is a caster VOD review. I'm just making some comments off to the side, especially because as a production person, that's something I try to keep in track of as well, is what are my volume levels, what are the other casters' volume levels, etc. So if you're ever running production, it's just something to note. It's not a judgment on casters, and none of this is a judgment. It's just discussion and talking about how to improve and do sorts of stuff. I wanted to go into very briefly was when you're in this kind of intro segment, doing histories of the teams is really, really good. Good stuff to talk about where the teams were and how they got here, why it's important that they made it to this series. So.
Yeah, obviously there's no games between these two teams.
Blame Jess for the production. That's a good plan.
In the All-Star event we had a few weeks ago, but
welcome to the Game 1 Best of 5.
Too much data on like how these two
get excited
against each other, right?
You can get excited at the beginning intro because you're super excited to cast the games, but
we know a lot about the individual players, more so TDMA than coin flippers. We haven't really streamed coin flippers all that much, but we just kind of have the basic stats on them, not so much the personality.
All right.
Definitely
I don't need to hear the entire breakdown of everything. We're gonna skip forward a little bit.
5, a true test of these players' skill and also their endurance, as that's definitely
good. Commenting on endurance for best of 5. That's fine. This is minor
I
stuff.
think it should be a pretty good one, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a lot of fun, and we are definitely looking forward.
Look at how
to it.
fancy
And we
that
are
is.
now
Excellency needs a transition like that.
champions,
That's
like, in that first
this is
game.
a
So see what
production
this team
thing.
come up with. A lot of time in best of 5,
I love
so
when there's like
professional league.
mega
As
production
well, that first game in a best of 5,
transition,
kind of
and then it's
feeling
like
out
the
the
actual
water
just League of
from
Legends
the
client.
draft.
This is like the client. This is it. This is
Trying
just
to
the
see
client.
what the other team wants
No
to ban,
overlays,
what they wanna ban,
no
and kind of
nothing.
going from there.
Just the client.
As opposed to a
It's
best of 3,
hilarious.
you have a little bit more time. I don't want to say to throw away a game.
They did bring you up a
if
little
you're
bit.
trying something out, but you definitely can lose a game without it being, a huge kick in the ribs for these teams. So we'll see what they come up with in the first game. Pretty standard bans we have coming through so far, but I would not be surprised to see maybe some first-time champs, at least in the league, or some kind of combination that these teams have been working on in practice in preparation for this match.
Okay, so
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
and,
can I
one
pause
thing I'm also
this?
looking out for in this.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Just
So
the meta.
one thing really quickly, that to make sure that people are doing, this includes myself, a lot of these judgments are on myself as well, is the overlays are hard. I know, they're so hard, okay? It's terrible. Overlays are difficult. It's true. As a guy who's done plenty of overlays and paid for overlays, they're really difficult. One thing I will say when it comes to making statements like standard bans or standard picks is fine, but it's much stronger if you explain why they are standard. These are standard meta picks that we see in pro and high elo games. Totally fair. These are standard pick and bans for these teams because we've seen them go up against each other, and so it's kind of become the standard for these teams to ban against each other or pick against each other. Or this is a standard pick for this player because he's picked it so many times before, we've seen them perform on it. Those things are all totally fine to say, and it's fine to say standard, but usually if someone, kind of like myself, I was just going to say that, that doesn't know what's going on comes in and hears, these are the standard bans, you're going, okay, sure, I guess these are standards. I have to take that at face value, but what is making them standard? So just a small comment. I do it myself all the time because I'm not thinking about it. Or one part of my brain is saying these are standard for LCS, and I don't go into it any deeper. So it's kind of like a fine, but here's a stronger option.
We see it like all the time in style esports. Especially in the support role and more in the division that TDMA comes from.
Yes, just everything.
The specific
Everything
division.
is at the end of
Yeah,
it.
we see Shen
We need
support
all the
time on
excitement.
Teams like Syndicate and Team
No,
Dark.
Jess
I'm
Express,
not really
keep it
sure.
up. I love
don't
it.
think
I
TMA
love it.
plays all that much
You're more
Shen,
than
so
fine.
It makes sense to me that they would ban it away. It's also just a confident flex pick, right? So definitely a solid ban there.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that. You mentioned that Shen. Like we've been
I don't want to
talking
take
about
forever
Shen
to pick
in
some
mid,
bands.
you
I'm
know,
just going to
CL
listen
and
to a
solo queue.
minute
Olaf, kind
longer.
of the opposite of that. I see Olaf quite frequently in solo queue. One of you and I's favorite champions to see in the league. That has been banned away. And one of the other ones that we tout a lot is that Ornn, which has been picked up here for, you'd have to think,
Top
Swift
laner.
Top lane. And definitely a strong pick. Even if it gets behind, can still make a lot of
Bard
plays
for
happen
flex.
just off of the amount of gold that he gives to his team through those item upgrades, right?
Okay,
So,
another quick comment. I'm going to make probably going to be too many of these small quick comments, but things like make a lot of stuff happen, that is a very weak phrase. Everyone uses it, even in pro, but they use it because it's so standard and so simplified. But if you're really wanting to push the bar on becoming a caster, try to get away from these technically kind of meaningless phrases. What does he make happen? He can make a lot of stuff happen. That's fine. But what is it that he makes happen? He can initiate strong engages. He can play an incredible front line that's impassable. He can open opportunities mid-game for team fights. He can find angles to initiate on unsuspecting players and get picks. All of these are stronger phrases than simply make stuff happen. It's just finding more purpose in what it is that you're saying and digging just a little bit deeper than scratching the surface. So
that's a very strong pick. I wouldn't be super surprised.
yeah,
if
can find success. Exactly right. Exactly right. It's just, it's very generalizations.
Something
So
on my team have been a big fan of actually into Ornn, able to have some pressure in lane. So we'll see if that pick decides to come through.
well, I don't want to go with all out with small comments because I don't want to take forever. I could probably turn this one single game into like a 5-hour VOD review, and nobody wants that.
Something I haven't seen in Style Esports in quite a long time, right? It almost always seems like it's on the chopping block, and it's finally been picked up here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
You could
that's
talk about
kind of
why it was on the
maybe
chopping block for
reflected a
so
little bit more
long was
so
because
the
it was
TV
OP.
affiliates,
Even the
you see it a little
LCS
bit
always
more
had a
than you see in
100% picker
Style
ban,
Esports, but,
and then
yeah,
he got
you're right.
nerfed
It's
into
seldom
all
picked up.
Oblivion, and so
Normally
it's
you'll
actually
pick up
interesting
more
that you
early
pick
game
up
champions,
Aphelios now.
folks
I don't know
for
exactly what
a later
time
game
period this
champion,
is,
almost
but
something like
the reason
Ash
why
or
he
maybe pre-utility,
got
something like that.
he was
But yeah,
banned
we're
for
gonna
forever
see
was because he was
JC's
OP.
Aphelios tonight, and we'll see if
Xin
he
Zhao's
can
an odd
carry.
pick.
Now it is paired with the Ornn, right? So that's a lot of late game scaling their potential.
Yeah,
for
Ornn
sure. So this is gonna be a
Aphelios is
massive
good late.
Aphelios if it gets to the
Zinzao's
late
good
game.
early
Yeah, just
initiator.
building your
I don't know
play.
why they didn't do Jarvan.
Yeah, I don't know
Jarvan
if
makes
I
a lot
hate
more sense in
Aatrox.
this
It's
case.
just kinda
Jarvan's a
like
faster
there's
early
this
game
statistic
initiator.
where, like,
He's got a
nobody in
stronger
Style Esports
ult.
picked
The only
Aatrox
thing I
in one
suppose you
game.
could argue is
So I
that Silas could
feel like
steal
if you're
Jarvan's
gonna
ultimate
pick
because they know
Aatrox,
Silas is on the enemy team. You're not
you
going to
have
grab
to
him. But
bring
even
your
still, I
A
think
game
it's
or
worth it to go with the
something, right?
Jarvan.
Or be like an Aatrox main, because you're right. Yeah, he can have a better lane into Ornn, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't
That's
take
fine.
those odds personally if I was the top laner, even if I was a good.
Trust
Aatrox
me, I say a
player.
lot of
But,
crap in the
yeah,
middle of stuff that I
that's just me.
look
man.
back
Yeah,
afterwards and I go, why did I
mentioned
even
the
say that?
Olaf
So,
ban. I think Olaf
Whoa.
is pretty good anyway in any draft right now, in any elo, but especially into Bisk. Bisk has such a monster Olaf.
Oh, he plays
really
Olaf or
hard carries
loses.
games. Even in the teams that we
well, I guess they're going to lose this game.
right? He's just had massive Olaf.
See, you could talk about how weak
the best of threes,
a
even
player
in
that
the
only
play,
has
he
one
was the
main
best
champion
on Olaf,
is,
so,
right?
yeah,
He gets
that's
banned
a
away,
fantastic
and it's
ban
a
there.
it's a
But
weak
in the
point. It's an
Galio
attacking
counter as
point.
well.
So,
I-
okay, really quickly, a small comment. We're just going to do that. Hashtag small comment. The red side, I think it's coin flippers. You could highlight. There's always two ways to talk about this. I know I'm going to do this in the game as well, is that you can either talk about what a team did poorly or talk about what a team is doing good. And that's both sides of the coin. When a team fight gets lost, whoever lost the fight, you could talk about the fact they lose the fight, or you could talk about the fact that the other team won the fight and what they did good and bad. I lean more heavily towards the positive side just because that's my personality, and I want to praise people for doing stuff well rather than beat on people for doing something wrong. If it's a clear mistake, if it's a clear misposition, a clear engage that made no sense, then yes, you obviously are more than welcome to point it out. But it's good to be able to focus more on the positive side than the negative side, for me at least. So you could talk about how it's really good that coin flippers attacked blue side's jungle by banning the Olaf. And I think you guys
Look,
did go
always
into it a
recommend
little
banning
bit, but
Galio
this is
against
also just for
TDM as like an organization.
You're a
I think
fortune
that follows
teller?
through on the academy team as well.
How am I a fortune
there's
teller?
A lot of Galio players, a lot of good ones too. So
Wait, is Xin Zhao top lane and it's J4 that gets picked up?
Especially they haven't picked up
Don't
those
tell me
yet.
that. Don't tell me that it's...
Absolutely.
No, because
Asher
Ornn
mentioned earlier, has been banned out.
doesn't make
I
any
don't like the
sense.
Asher
Is it
ton.
J4 jungle?
In
Oh, I
the
predicted who
form
would
cycle
win.
ban, I think there's a lot of threat on him. Right?
Oh my
Galio
gosh,
and
I'm so
Animal. There's
mad.
a lot of dive
It's almost like he
onto
told
that.
me in
I
chat.
think he wants something more safe. I would go for the Ezreal here.
Technically, if that's
Dives
the
in this
case,
game,
if he loses without the
very
Olaf, then it should be a
myself.
3-0. You just
We
ban
already
Olaf
get
every
to see
game,
AD carry coming
and
through
the
as
team
a
never
counter
wins.
pick
So,
here as Maokai's
it's actually
picked
true,
up.
though.
So, gonna have a wet noodle fight in the top lane. No Aatrox.
Maokai I like.
But those are two champions that just
Hecarim
heal
is
a
fine,
lot.
super
Ornn can go ahead
aggressive.
and ensure himself.
I'm not really
Maokai
sure I like
is
that they left their
yeah,
ADC to
a
the
lot
very,
of
very
healing actually
end,
already
but
coming through
I would
on
have
the
rather
other
if I was
side, on
red
the
side,
coin flip
leave my
side.
jungler at the
All
very
these
end,
champions
but that's
can
fine.
do
I don't know
Hecarim
these
with the
teams.
Q, Maokai with the passes,
So-
Bard with the hot cocos.
So the
versus
analyze the
Shrine,
casters, not the
depending
game.
on what skins being used to
Casters.
heal. And Silas, I think we've all seen that. Is he going to be taken down? Oh, looks like he's getting low. Just kidding. He's 75%, right? So I think executioners will be a very key item for
Overall,
taking this game.
JarlCarl,
I'd
you've
like
got
to see that
really
quite
good
early coming through.
energy
Yeah,
in that
that's something
you're
I
talking
love so far from the
swiftly,
coin
but not
flippers
so
draft. It's
fast
gonna
that
be
it's hard to
very difficult for
understand.
TDMA
And
to
because you're
decide whether
talking,
or
so let me
not-
explain crispiness really quick here. And what I was talking earlier about is if you slur your words and slur your sentences. So let me do a little bit here. All right, so we see here in the top lane there's an Ornn and the Aphelios, and yeah, that's going to be picked up by blue side. That should be pretty strong. And then we got the Morgana in the bottom lane. It's going to be supporting the Aphelios, and it should be a pretty good pick composition in the bottom lane. That's with low energy and a lot of slurriness. For people that are listening, not only is it hard and annoying to listen to, but it also feels like you just flat out don't care. You just don't care about this game at all. You have no personal vested interest in who wins or loses this game. Now, we're going to slur, but with high energy, and hear what happens. All right, so we see ourselves with the Ornn in the top lane, and we got Aphelios in the bottom lane, and yeah, with that Morgana picked up, and I think that she's going to be able to like really take it to another level by being able to use the Black Shields and protect the Aphelios, and make sure that he survives in every situation that the other team might be able to engage upon. Now, you sound a little more invested, but you sound incredibly lazy. It's like, okay, we know you can talk. Everyone can talk if they really want to. They put that extra effort into what I call being crispy, which is where you harden up all of your consonants, you break apart your sentences, break apart your words very clearly so that you can hear each individual word very clearly, and then you can go from there to accentuate a little bit more. It also allows you to pick your energy levels better because it's not just one flat line that has to, as a whole, go up and down. You can actually kind of highlight individual things. Looking at the Ornn in the top lane, we can see that he's going to be a huge tank. With Morgana picked up in the bottom lane, it's going to make it incredibly easy for her to black shield him and make sure that when he engages, he's very, very safe. So you can see with the volume, black shield him. Here's a point, a really critical point, shield him, so that when he engages, he's much more protected. And with the Aphelios in the bottom lane, he can bring a ton of damage into the late game. And so when you're doing that, it allows for your audio, the people that are listening in, to actually cue into what the most important part of the sentence is. Now, this can become confusing if you start to kind of mix and mash it all together, and you're just throwing in, like, I don't even know, the Xin Zhao's farming the jungle. It's like, okay, well, he's farming the jungle, whoa! But generally speaking, most people with the talking naturally tend to upbeat the important things and downbeat everything else. And that's totally fine. It just comes across much more clearly when you're being crispy. And I say all that to say that JarlCarl is doing an excellent job of being crispy this entire time. So Baymax is crispy. Super crispy. So, all right, keeping on. I'm going to check the chat, make sure there's anything I've missed.
Right? You're talking about
speed and enunciation. Well, you're doing a pretty good job
here in the mid lane. I think we had the numbers advantage, and then you get flanked by Hecarim. That's rough, right? I mean, that's real bad. You think you're fighting a 3v3, Silas is super low. All of a sudden, he's not. There's a lot of surprising, I guess, game mechanics coming through in the coin flippers that are going to be really useful in these early game skirmishes, and that's just kind of the meta right now. I mean, there's a lot of ways to drag the games out, but
no, well, actually, Zeno, you can leave the game if you want.
Whoa,
but the
where is that coming from? Whoa, where'd that audio come through? Okay, that was a trial test of a second broadcaster for an entirely different thing. That for no reason at all, the video just started playing. I have no idea what happened there, but that's all right. We'll keep going.
Yeah, I really
What
like
now?
the
Exactly.
so far.
Exactly. Rogue Panda, I submitted my own VOD.
Sure, and you know, Caitlin's coming through here.
Rogue Panda, you're
I'm
awesome.
happy to see the Caitlyn over the Draven.
You're
However,
awesome.
I was about to.
I would have liked the
moderately
Draven. He's
flame,
more spicy.
Yeah.
Caitlin's
Draven
safer, but
pick here. I think
Draven's
there's just too many ways to get
more
caught
fun.
out, right, in this game, and I think the same applies to the Caitlyn. The Caitlyn's a little bit longer range, and something about the Draven that makes it even more risky is you kind of have to put yourself out of position to do damage based on where those axes decide to land. The Caitlyn's not quite the same. You have a little bit more range, and she's able to stage, which is what a lot of this team, right? Because Bisk, Squib, Moy able to move. And I think that's something to watch out for.
Do you guys cast through the entire 3 minutes?
The net doesn't...
I mean, this is game 1 of the finals and in a best of 5, right? So could Recycle Ben have executed Barrel Morgana in here? And I think that's what they've done. Maybe taken
one of the only champions that can contest Aphelios in lane is that Caitlyn with that extra range. So I think in that regard, this pick is really good as well. And she's really good. If we'll see as we anyway, pretty much going to be using that through Maokai ultimate. Silex kind of just ruin the
their delay ends and flanks and work out for the coin flippers. I'm not really sure about Hecarim into Xin Zhao. I feel like Xin Zhao is just really strong right now. Still incredibly strong. I always have.
Tanks are weak at all, right? Obviously, he can, if he can get to you, he's just going to kind of blow you up. As we get
all right, credit to casters for casting straight through the 3 minutes. That's really awesome.
Over a long term.
I like doing it because it pushes me to really come up with content to talk about.
The game.
So credit to both of you guys for casting straight through. That's amazing. That's amazing. So. We wouldn't shut up. We can talk for days. That's really good. That's really good. We have so many unplanned breaks during these games. We try to keep the planned ahead breaks to a minimum. Hey, that's smart.
Fighting Xin Zhao in the early game, but I don't think that's ever the goal as Hecarim. So we are going to get into game.
Okay,
here.
Something that I missed. You might have talked about it. But I missed it if you did. And I apologize. I was trying to speed this up and not take for an eternity. It's really, really good to highlight at the end of picks and bans before loading onto Summoner's Rift what is the overall objective and goal for each of these teams. Destroy the Nexus. No. By how do they win? Or, alternatively, how do they lose? So when you're looking at the team comps as a whole, as I say that all the time, even though I need to find new ways to phrase that because I lean on that phrase too much. But when you're looking at the comp and how it all works together, you have to come up with how is it that this team wins League of Legends games. So if you're looking on blue side, you have late game Ryze, late game Aphelios, late game Orange, super supportive Morgana, and Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao is going to be their one key to surviving the early and even early portion of the mid game to get this team to late game. They have to snowball. They have to, or not really snowball, They have to not lose an inhibitor turret by 20 minutes. If they've lost an inhibitor turret by 20 minutes, the game is basically over because it's gone too fast, and red team will just crush them. Because they have to scale the Aphelios into damage. He's going to need at least 2 items and a bunch of levels. Ryze has to be essentially level 12, if not later than that. The ornaments don't come until level 12. So by the 35-minute mark, as long as blue team is still relatively even in this game, they win. They just straight up win. They not only have the damage from the Ryze and the Aphelios, they have the mobility with Ryze's ultimate to get anywhere they want on the map. They have the ornaments. They're bringing extra damage as well. 6 items. They're untouchable. Everything is fine and good. So Xin Zhao's sole job is to babysit the lanes that are struggling to get them through the early and even early portion of that mid game so that they have a chance to scale into 3 items, start to potentially win team fights, and then maybe win the game. But it's a really, really tough composition to play because it's so much easier to win early and win the game. So it's a tough comp that they've given themselves. So you win by destroying the Nexus. No. And then red side, the goal of this team comp is to basically get Caitlyn as fed as gosh darn possible. You have Hecarim that dives the back line, but while he can kill, he's not known to be the most killing of champions. His goal is to cause the back line to flash, flee, run away, potentially die, or generally speaking, not be attacking everyone else. You have Maokai, major front tank and diver. He goes in rooting people. You have Silas, who likes to jump in and dive in, and then you have Bard, who's a little bit protective, but also is just CC and all around annoying and pretty ridiculous champion. So what is the point from Red side? Get Caitlyn fed, because you can have Silas as fed as you want, but he can go in and get one shot by the Aphelios mid to late game. You can have Hecarim do the exact same thing, get one shot. Maokai can be as tanky as he wants. He eventually will get burned down. All this diving is solely distracting so that Caitlyn kills everyone else. Get the Caitlyn fed, which means Hecarim's sole goal, sole objective is to be ganking bot lane as many times as possible to get Caitlyn as far ahead as possible, maybe even rotate bot lane around to get Caitlyn more kills so she gets more fed. It's going to take her a little bit. She needs an item and a half or two to be able to get into it. She's got to get that Infinity Edge completed, but if you can get her snowball, if you can get her head, she carries the game, you win, as long as you can keep her alive. So talking about like overall goals of team comps is super good.
I don't personally have a huge problem with the teleport. We'll see how they're able to use it.
Top by Zibik in base level 1 win game. Oh, TP by Xpeke in base level 1 win game.
I don't feel like that's the standard keystone on that champion.
Jess, you should be hired by Riot. Riot,
so,
Jess Express.
It just
we need
looks
that.
weird to me, and I'm gonna just
turn the casters on because they finally turned the casters up, and so now they're screaming in my ears.
A little more experienced than I am about supports can correct us on that, of course, but we might see a little bit.
Okay, hold on. I actually want to back that up a little bit.
Maybe I'm just like whole lot taking it, so I don't personally have a huge problem with the teleport. We'll see how they're able to use it. On the other hand, I'm also interested in the Guardian for Morgana. Maybe I'm just like immediately forgetting. I don't feel like that's the standard keystone on that champion. But I might just be losing my mind. So
okay.
It just looks weird to me, and I'm gonna just go with my gut on that and say that I think something's a little weird here. Maybe somebody in the chat who is a little more experienced than I am about supports can correct us on that, of course. But
before we get into this fight, so one thing when it comes to champions or players, items, and things like that, in which you're not the most familiar with, which is totally fine. Trust me, you can be an incredibly good caster and still be unfamiliar with things. Is you want to make sure that you don't ramble on about how you don't know that information. And that's totally okay. Own up to the fact that you don't know what it is, and then just move on to something else. Because the longer you talk about a point that you don't know, the more awkward it gets for everyone else. It's like someone in a conversation trying to explain thermodynamics without a good knowledge of what thermodynamics is, and even they are admitting that you're not really sure what thermodynamics is, and you're kind of like, so why are you talking about it? It's okay that you don't know this. Just move on. We'll talk about something you do know. So if you want to point that out, which is totally fair, hey, Morgana, she seems to have an odd keystone. I personally have never seen it before. The Guardian, I'm not sure how good it works on it. If someone on the Twitch chat wants to inform me, would love to hear about why it might be that Morgana's picking the Guardian. As it stands, definitely an interesting choice for me. And you just leave it at that. So, okay, yes, exactly right. And I do this all the time. A lot of casters do this all the time. So that's what we're talking about, how to improve, is you don't want to be trying to analyze something as you're talking about it, because you're probably not going to do a very good job. So it might even be worth it to make a mental note, Guardian on Morgana. Okay, I'm going to think about that. But I'm not going to mention it right now. We're going to talk about whatever it is else we're talking about here. Let Axeman talk about whatever he wants. And then when it comes back to me, now I've actually figured out what I want to say about Morgana and a Guardian. And then I'm going to make a comment. But that's a lot of head thinking. And basically, you have to split your internal voice. Which everyone has an internal voice to some extent. But you have to have one internal voice that's talking over here and one internal voice that's actually speaking. And so this one is doing the analysis while this one is actually talking about whatever it is you're talking about. But it's a bad idea to try to do both at the same time. Everyone knows that. So everyone takes Dark Harvest. I mean, that's easy. Easy clap. It's so true. This is why I should do it.
Fight here, actually. In just gonna have to flash away. Going very low already.
ARAM.
Charismatic as well, trading a little bit back here. Squib running for his life. Moyo's arrived on the scene, but maybe he's getting a bit too close. Cabby is here as well. Do they know that Moyo's there? Yes, he does. Does he have the stun into the wall? There is that stun. Is the trap available for Caitlyn? Did not take it, but it does not make any difference. First blood going over, and it's Cat. It just looks weird to me, and I'm gonna just go with my gut.
Listen to that fight one more time.
Very low already. In the chat, who is a little more experienced than I am about supports, can correct us on that, of course, but we might see a little bit of a fight here, actually. Yoshiman are going to be going in. Biz going to have to flash away, going very low already at the start of this charismatic as well, trading a little bit back here. Squib running for his life. Moyo's arrived on the scene, but maybe he's getting a bit too close. Cabby is here as well. Do they know that Moyo's there? Yes, he does. Does he have the stun?
So he ran out of air a little bit at the end, but you recovered pretty well.
Difference. First blood going over, and it's Cabby picking up the first kill of the game here for the coin flippers just a minute in.
Yeah, we've seen Cabby have some just
nice finish as well. And not enough play-by-play casters wrap up with a solid period. And by that, what I mean is they will end at a kind of draw where it's like, the first blood ends up going over to coin flippers. They did a pretty good job with being able to pick that first one up. Where it kind of, and it makes it very difficult for the color caster to know when it's their turn to come in. And so you did a really good job of putting a solid period on it. First blood picked up by coin flippers. Boom. Done. Plain, simple. So, good stuff there.
With your carry and play it passively under tower. So, we'll have to see how he plays this after getting that early kill.
Okay. Now, Axeman, I don't know if you... some people don't have internal voices. What? What? I'm sure that there are some odd people that don't have internal voices, but most people do have internal voices. Can you turn it up? Oh, sorry. Apologies. I can turn it back up a bit. Okay. So, Axeman, I know they're supposed to be focusing on JarlCarl, but in this moment there basically was a gank that could have potentially led into a kill, and that's really tough to not talk about. I would say that it's probably a bad thing to not talk about at least the option of them coming in, and this is where some fluidity of color and play-by-play being able to both kind of do a bit of each other's jobs is good, is that as that color caster, you can interrupt yourself to say, seems like Xin Zhao's coming in just to visit this mid lane, gets the flash from the Silas, and that's all that he was looking for. Back to my point that I was talking about, you keep going. Because if he had actually gotten a kill, like if you back that up and listen to the point.
You could just,
so you're still talking about the fight at level 1.
You can either kind of roam and
you go from Xin Zhao right now is coming to gank. You could talk about right now how he's coming into gank level 2.
Or just kind of stick with your carry and play it passively under tower. So we'll have to see how he plays this after getting that early kill.
So that was 9 seconds of... Is it me? No, I think it's the stream that's breaking. Okay, so that's not me.
Surprisingly, Zero Arms taking Ignite. I know I've seen Heckrams do it.
I don't think that's me.
But
yeah, video's just frozen. Okay, anyway. So that was 9 seconds in which there was a first gank happening that could have been second blood and an opportunity for basically with the most crucial moment in the beginning of the game for blue side here, and it's crucial because of this. When we talked about what the team's goals were, the team's goal from blue side is to get these lanes surviving through the early to mid game. So the gank by Xin Zhao, level 2, burning Silas's flash, exactly that gives Moyo in that mid lane another 4 minutes that he's probably not going to get killed. So it's that breathing room. So he's already doing exactly what blue team needs to do to be able to find their way into a victory in this game. And 9 seconds during that critical moment of it actually happening wasn't talked about, and then just kind of keeps on going. So this is where I say that sometimes it is important, again, if you're making a key note of what those big moments are in the game, then yeah, a standard, especially think about like, and I don't want to get too harsh on this, but think about like top lane, a jungler's ganking, you know that everyone's got full health, the jungler is low on mana, and so all he's doing is showing up to basically like, look, back off my turret, my top lane's turret, and that's it. You know there's a kill not going to be happening. Yeah, you're absolutely fine to talk over it. But a level 2 gank that is one of the key elements in which blue team needs to be able to win, that is worth talking about and highlighting. So, yikes.
Aggressive here, especially since he's got...
No, I don't mean to be too bad. Okay, there we go. Fix that. I love you, Axeman. You're awesome.
Takes Ignite for a little bit
You're
more
awesome.
Kill pressure.
All right.
Getting into them, not a lot of movement abilities on either of these carries here, Moya or JT, right? So maybe saying, I want that team fight sustain and extra damage, but I just, kind of making up for that lack of Predator damage, going to go for the Ignite. So could be kind of
it's unfortunate that Bard got the first blood
argument there for himself. That I don't think it's too bad. We'll see if there is...
Actually, that's a good point that you could bring up as well, is the fact that Bard getting first blood does almost nothing for red side. Typically, first blood gives you a solid edge, and the fact that he's the one who got first blood Sure, a little gold went to the Maokai top lane, not going to mean a thing. A little gold went to the Caitlyn on support. I guess that's something. But the fact that it's Bard that got first blood, besides a smidgen faster on Roam, effectively means nothing. So it's definitely a mute point because of who actually gets it.
Get knocked back by the horse, but Bisk has arrived as well. Yoshiman are going in. He might be going into his spot. That team is too bad. We'll see if there is an issue with the lack of Predator in this game. You might see it actually right now. So there's going to be a fight in the mid lane. Moyle going to get knocked back by the horse, but Bisk has arrived as well. Yoshiman are going in. He might be going into his death, going very low. Bisk picks up that first kill now, trying to get himself out. Zero arm. That Conqueror is stacked.
I want to actually... Can I slow that down? Yes, I can.
He's out the Ignite, so... could be kind of
I'm gonna count how many times he says going.
Middling argument there. Man going for himself that I don't think is too bad. We'll see if there is an issue with the lack of Predator in this game. You might see it actually right now. So there's gonna be a fight in the mid lane. Moyle gonna get knocked back by the horse, but Bisk has arrived as well. Yoshiman are going in. He might be going into his death, going very low. Bisk picks up that first kill now, trying to get himself out. Zero arm. That Conqueror is stacked, but he's gonna have to.
Okay, I thought there was more than 4, but still, that was 4 goings and almost back to back to back. So maybe find an alternative word than going. So by me a thesaurus.
Horse, but Bisk has a argument there for himself that I don't think it's too bad. We'll see if there is an issue with the lack of Predator.
Engaging.
Actually right now. So there's going to be a fight in the mid lane. Moyle
starting a fight
by the horse, but Bisk has arrived as well. Yoshiman are going in. He might be going into his death, going very low. Bisk picks up that first kill now, trying to get himself out. Zero arm. That Conqueror is stacked, but he's going to have to back himself out.
I'm going to watch it. I know we've watched this a million times, so I'm going to watch it one more time because I actually haven't analyzed myself. I've just been listening to the casters.
An issue with the lack of Predator in this game. You might see it actually right now. So there's going to be a fight in the mid lane. Moyle going to get knocked back by the horse, but Bisk has arrived as well. Yoshiman are going in. He might be going into his death, going very low. Bisk picks up that first kill now, trying to get himself out. Zero arm. That Conqueror is stacked.
Okay, that wasn't too bad.
Back himself out of that one.
You comment how
a gank just gone a little bit awry there by the coin flip.
The Silas investment
yeah,
is a
you
little
don't
much.
Like those if you're the Hecarim, right? So much of the strength of the pick was in the ganks, and the expectation would be, you know, I'm gonna.
Okay, I'll tell you what won that fight. All right, I'll tell you what won the fight. I'm gonna cook some veggies right now, and they smell so good. Sounds delicious. What won the fight is very simply this: who had more flashes? The Xin Zhao, the Rise, both flashed out of the fight. The Hecarim didn't need flash because he was engaging and he's a speedy boy anyway. But who didn't have flash? The Silas. So he could engage, but he couldn't get out. So the first flash that Bisk burned on that Silas coming into the mid lane level 2 is the reason why. Besides, I mean, obviously he could have never engaged in the first place, but then the Hecarim probably would have died. So the fact that he engaged but without that flash meant that he dies and everyone else on blue side lives. So that's where sometimes those critical points about burning flashes can come back. A lot of this stuff though can become hindsight's 2020 because obviously I have the time to be able to sit here and do some deeper analysis where you don't actually have that. So
yeah, for sure. A little more fighting in the bottom. These teams just going straight at it. Cabby taking a lot of damage as we move up into the top lane. Zero armed against Squib. Nice unstoppable by the Ornn to get himself away from that one as we move now down into the bot lane. Cabby gonna get almost burst down immediately. Oh, Bisk gonna go through the portal as well. Recycleman gonna get focused out as well. Bisk going to the tower, but he is gonna make it out.
I feel so bad.
Recycle.
No, focus is it down.
Get to the portal. Yes, the flash by JT. Not gonna pick him up. Recycleman net to try to get himself out, and he walks off of the soil just in time. A great
beautiful
out by the Ornn to get himself away from that one as we move now down into the bot lane. Cabby gonna get almost burst down immediately. Oh, Bisk gonna go through the portal as well. Recycleman gonna get focused out as well. Bisk going to the tower, but he is gonna make it out to safety. Recycleman with a nice flash. Can he get to the portal? Yes, the flash by JT. Not gonna pick him up. Recycleman with a nice net to try to get himself out, and he walks off of the soil just in time. A great escape by the coin flippers.
Beautiful.
I was sure one of them was dead at least.
Okay, only thing I think I could have mentioned more if I was doing the casting is that JT actually had Gravitrum. And so the ability for, Rise was no flash too, but or Zinza was no flash. Oh, I think I missed that. So, yeah, Jarl's Doing awesome. JT on the Aphelios had Gravitrum, and so could have rooted up the Caitlyn earlier, but didn't invest the Q. Or maybe he did actually.
Pick him up. It almost burst
I think
down.
at the beginning,
Gonna go through
right
the portal as well.
here?
Recycleman.
Yeah.
Gonna get focused out as well. Biscuit
And then Morgana gets the dark binding. So he does use it. Okay.
Can he get to the portal? Yes, the flash by JT. Not gonna pick him up. Recycleman with
For sure.
It was just
really
the double
close there,
root
but,
was nice. So he
yeah,
did comment on it.
Recycle bin and
the confidence, especially.
Well, he
you know,
did
clearly
use it, but
not cowed by the fact that it is the grand finals, right? Willing to go in for that play, and I think that is admirable in and of itself. A little bit unfortunate for him that the direction finder
a little bit unfortunate.
wasn't
I
quite
love that.
where he wanted on that one.
Crispy.
Asserting some dominance. He's saying, I don't
It's
even
like eating
need that
chips.
flash. I'll use it later.
Little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Captain Flowers
And,
is so
you know,
crispy.
nonetheless, a pretty big cooldown. Now both flashes burned from the TDMA bot lane, so that is a ripe gank opportunity if you're zero-armed on this Hecarim. And he's backing right now. Should be looking for this bot lane gank, actually. Bot lane.
AT rather, not able to proc that Gravitum, so no root coming through onto Recycle Bin anytime soon, but, you know, that's a nice trick you can do in solo queue, you know, pretend to back, and it's just so hard to not walk up in range of those bushes, right? You know, it looks like they've backed, they should have backed, everybody tells you they should have backed, you know, your intuition,
I die way too
etc.
many times
and they're just
for
still in that
not
bush,
double
North
checking
Binding
the
lands,
bush.
and that's a great kill. Picked up there by Jay the Deeps. A little bit unfortunate it did not go over to the 80 carry, but JT has enough money for that BF sword when he goes back to base. In any
I like that, especially because you were talking about the positive from blue side, the fact they stuck around the bush, rather than the negative from red side, that he just blind walked into the bush. So could have thrown out a Q to check it, I
regard,
suppose.
so
But
shouldn't make that big of a difference. But
that's
that
that
early
talking
lead
about
for
positive things, not
Cabby
negative
and the bot
things.
lane of Coin Flip is just not really working out for him in this lane. That gank that came through by Bisque was very well timed right after a bit of fighting, and nice.
You didn't know it till
Whoa, we got an ad! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves some traditional Buffalo Wild Wings, 24 sausages, so many seasonings, so many meatball or boneless wings. We got an amazing time. Order your BuffaloWildWings.com. It's an amazing, amazing food, delicious, and everyone should totally get it. And now we've got ourselves some Team Liquid. He's got himself a crab because he's ready to go and look for the Scuttle Crab, trying to get the kill. He wants the vision on everyone with that monster logo. He is ready. Wow, my ears are bleeding from how loud this is. He's going to start by pressing a button. Honda and Team Liquid paired up together. That is an amazing bot lane.
Actually just looking for the dragon. They're going to pick it up uncontested. Notably as well, Cabby.
24 seasonings!
Enemy bot laners from TDMA. So, yeah, overall, kind of a positive trade for Recycleman and Cabby here.
Did a good job, y'all.
Cabby dying. And like you mentioned earlier, with Cabby having picked up first blood, this really just kind of brought TDMA bot lane kind of onto a level playing field. And now that they've lost the dragon, they're kind of back on the back foot.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch on that bot lane just a little bit more in a second, but we're seeing a gank in the top.
They're on the back foot, but they are ahead in gold, and they're basically winning top lane side because it's Ornn versus the Maokai, which should be Ornn favored, mostly because of the brittle stacks. But yeah.
Top lane, Call the Forge God does come out onto Charismatic. He's going to be
kill.
just taken down straight away, eviscerated off of the map, not able to.
Oh, they brought
get any
Ryzen
control
as
down or
well
even
with the Realm
attempt an
Warp.
escape. But he does keep his flash for it, so that should be good for him
That's
in the
some
future. But another nice
mega
kill coming
investment.
through for Bisque, 2-0 now.
Yeah, for sure. They will definitely
Mega
extend
investment.
that lead if they want to really take control of the map. Rift Herald is coming up in under a minute now. We'll see if either the jungle
Hecarim counting, jungling.
Taking away enemy red buff here. Bisque is onto him though. Might be looking for the fight. Zero Arm does have the level, but I don't think he can fight this.
This is where the broadcaster needs to take over control of the camera and actually watch that. So the camera defaults to whoever's dealing a bunch of damage. The cast all ads all day. Yeah, just give me a list of ads. I'll do it. The camera tracks who is dealing the most amount of damage, and then who is receiving the most amount of damage, and then neutral objectives, and then something else. I tracked it out at one point, but that no fight actually occurred. Everyone kind of just positioned. But if you're a broadcaster, that's where it's really good to take over the camera, click on the mini map, and actually show them running around, because there's nothing happening in the bottom lane. It's just poke onto the turret. Nothing happening in the top lane. They're just smacking each other. So show that jungle dance a little bit, just because it's more interesting than whatever's happening everywhere else.
That ultimate advantage could have proved interesting if that fight did continue. But speaking of the bot lane, still, it feels like Recycle Bin and Caddy kind of had the lead from that early gank, and then they kind of gave it away in that as that kill went over. And then I feel like JT and Jay the Deeps kind of just squandered that lead once again. They find themselves, you know, down about a wave of CS. They weren't really able to recall, and the wave control was kind of rested back.
Okay, so this is something that's going to be a little bit of a point. I don't know how to express this. Hang on. We've been working on getting more manual observers, but in this case, we mostly had to let it roll. Yeah, totally fine. Totally fine. Again, broadcaster comments are not regarding the caster comments. This is just in general talking about those sorts of things. So, this is where, and I might actually pull you into a call and talk a little bit about it, is for you, Jarl. You're doing, and I tend to do this a little bit as well, you're doing a lot of what is effectively, when it comes to singing, head casting, where you're actually like, not nasally, but pitched really high up here, because you're talking about all these sorts of things, and you're not really talking through your nose, but it kind of comes across as a little bit on the squeakier side, because you're all the way up here, and effectively you're shooting your voice through the back of your throat up to the, like, bouncing off the top of your nasal cavity and then coming out of your mouth. And so it ends up being a little bit on the higher side, because everything is kind of coming out and up and over before being able to actually come out, which does add a little bit of energy, but also can come across as a little bit nervous, because it's just so high pitched, and it's very contrasted against Axeman, who does the exact opposite. Axeman is way down here. Axeman is effectively speaking within his chest, all right? Axeman is so deep, he's all the way down here, which is like back of the throat and chest talking. So when he's discussing a team fight, there's almost no nose whatsoever. You could probably plug his nose and you wouldn't even be able to tell, because he's speaking so incredibly deep. And that but just his natural voices. Everyone has a bit of a different voice. But what I would say for you, Jarl, is trying to pull down just a bit. And you still want to keep the same energy. This is where a lot of people start to kind of misplay, where there's a difference between volume, pitch, and energy. And each one of those are a different dial that can go all sorts of different directions. So you can pull your pitch, which is generally speaking on the higher end, down a little bit more naturally into a bit more of a conversational tone, while still keeping the same crispiness and being able to talk in the same sort of way that Axeman. I'm not saying that it's bad to have a deep voice, because I've complimented your voice 1,000 times over. But what I will say is that when it goes from a big play, and this crazy amazing thing just happened, what on earth it was an ace for blue team. Half a pause. Yeah, it was a really good play. Blue side, they knew exactly their positioning. What it comes across is a little bit lackadaisical, where you end up feeling a bit... I compare it to Kobe, where Kobe usually takes that high energy. I think we might have talked about this after a broadcast or something, and he grabs the play-by-play's high energy, and he starts with, what a play! That was amazing, because blue side had these sorts of things. You could do the same thing as a deep-voiced color caster. That was incredible! What a shot by blue team! You saw their ADC positioning, you saw the ability for their top lane to engage, and man, they really knew when they could pull the trigger to pull that. So, and then you get into your analysis. I'm obviously pulling team fights from nowhere, but so my nose is a barren wasteland. It's not been there in years. See. Yeah, so just some comments on pitch overall. And I think that,
as that dragon went over,
for most casters, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal, but especially the two of you together kind of highlight that a little bit more. And you know,
both these AD carries should get a nice recall
because you're so separate there. I'm a high pitch caster. I am very much. I am right with you, Jarl. I'm always up here. I think I squeak so badly, so I'm constantly trying to remind myself to drop down a little bit more.
I'm looking for the counter gank here.
See, that was fine, Axeman. Yeah, definitely.
Side backing off for the time being, maybe getting the reset there, like you mentioned. Plating here, that'll be a little bit helpful for him, but so far just kind of an Orin-dominated lane. which is you know, a little strange. I mean, normally you'd expect the Ornn to.
Nah,
to
it's
start
actually,
really
I'll
big.
say, at least from my analysis, Ornn dominated lane is not surprising at all into a straight up tank, because tank versus tank, yes, should be even. Maybe Maokai has a small edge and poke because of the saplings, but really, I don't think it matters that much. What matters is twofold. One, Ornn has brittle stack, so he gets extra crit damage. So against tanks, he's just gonna smash them. It was just surprising. Ornn just does way too much damage for being a tank. But two, Ornn has a easy escape, so it's really hard for a jungler to gank him, which means that Squib can constantly push, whereas Charismatic has to be very safe because he can't effectively push past the enemy team's minions. The further he gets past the enemy team minions, he has to be using his route backwards onto a minion to try to get out if a jungler engages. So the Maokai is automatically playing defensively. And then on top of that, he was ganked earlier because he was a little bit too far forward and didn't have Invasion of Tribush. And until Maokai gets about 2 items, he actually isn't all that tanky. Ornn gets tankier, especially once he... I mean, they're both tanks, so, right? Once they get more items, they get tankier, but because of the brittle stacks that Ornn brings in, generally speaking, he wins a flat tank versus tank, which is why people take, like, Kled into an Ornn, is because Kled actually can deal the significant amount of damage faster than Ornn can put out. Ornn is brittle stacks, clap, walk away. Brittle stacks, clap, walk away. Knock you up, brittle stacks, clap, walk away. That's Ornn's role. Versus like a Fiora, who goes, parry the clap, stab, you're dead. So usually if you take damage like a Camille into an Ornn, Camille will win. If you're taking a tank into Ornn, Ornn usually controls the lane. So let me roll up here. I think I'm closer to Axeman in deepness and baritone. Yeah. Carl the tenor. Jake the tenor. I am infinite. Axeman is probably one of the deepest people that I've heard cast. I need to hear Rogue again, but kind of meant to the extent which he's dominating the lane. Didn't communicate very well. It made it sound like Maokai should win the lane. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Thanks from this, but that Rift Herald has since spawned.
Yeah, I think his
is up
domination
right now.
probably
We'll
just
see
had to
if
do
Zero
with
makes
Xin
a move
Zhao.
on that one. This is in the area as well, so it might see a
Ganking.
fight over the Rift Herald here in just a little bit.
Good comment on Rift
Important
Herald being
objective,
up.
especially that first one. You're talking about the top lane. You know, I think you can expect Ornn to win some matchups. I don't think you'd expect Ornn to win matchups by this much, right? He is up.
Oh,
about
I see. Yeah, that 35
at
CS
this
is pretty
point,
big.
Doing really well for himself. Up about
Probably just bad
700
farming
gold,
from Charismatic.
Almost 900 gold now at this point. So very strong lane.
I
The
wish
damage onto him,
broadcasters
he's
knew
still
how
a
to
big,
zoom
meaty
out.
Tank, but
It's not that hard. It's built
into
into the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely is a lot weaker.
Zoom out.
Yep,
Don't zoom out too
over
much,
The wall,
but it does
finding
help.
Cabby there, but nothing too much coming out of that one. Just kind of a little blind skill shot for you there. But now it's just JT and Recycled in alone in the bot lane for the time being. Both supports making their way back to the area. But yeah, to be honest, this is going pretty even for both sides, right? I mean, we saw Jay at the deeps go for the roam. We saw Cabby kind of matching.
They have to hold that.
Okay, yeah, so here's another moment, Axeman, in which you could actually, if as a color caster, let me back this up real quick.
Go. But,
okay.
Yeah, to be honest,
Camera
this is going
swaps
pretty even for
to
both.
here, all right? As technically, you should have already seen this on the minimap, technically. But camera swaps to here, you're going, there is a gank happening mid lane. Good or bad, this is a prime spot for a gank to happen. There's no reason why red side shouldn't. Now, they know there's a control ward there, which means the gank will probably happen sooner than later. And if you see people walking away, continue to talk. But as a color caster who's in the middle of commenting, I would immediately say, whoa, seems like there might be a gank mid lane. Or seems like we got a gank mid lane. Or about to have a team fight. Or any of those sorts of things, even though it is interrupting yourself. The one I reference when it comes to this is Frosk. Does an incredible job, or Froskurin in the EU, does an incredible job of basically going, I'll hold. And then after the play-by-play finishes, she goes back into it. So she does a lot of self-interruption when there's a quick gank or a small team fight, lets the play-by-play do their thing, and then comes back in to finish her point or add on top of whatever it was that just happened. So
Sides, right? I mean, we saw Jay at the deeps go for the roam. We saw Cabby kind of matching.
They have to hold.
Okay, so that is
comes in
7 seconds before your play-by-play interrupted you, so that you would stop and they could actually play-by-play the fight. So, she's great. Who's great?
In the mid lane, Moyo just taken out straight away. What a great ultimate.
No, actually, you're fine.
Zero
Again,
arm
please,
that
guys,
Onslaught
don't
Shadows
be
really
too harsh
shoving
on
Moyo
yourself.
back into the middle
I could do this for myself, and it would be
of the mid
horrible.
lane with that
It would be
fear on that.
horrible.
Very well aimed.
I could
there
tear my
by
own
the
casting
Coin
apart.
Flipper's jungler,
'Cause
as the
I'm not
Herald
that
was
good.
traded back though in the favor of Bisk.
Yeah, that's a.
I want to actually listen to that fight again. I'm sorry.
But really hurt charismatic.
Wait, did I go back too
Yeah,
far?
'cause especially
I think I went
that
back too
power
far.
definitely.
Yeah, I
It's
went back
going
too
pretty
far.
even for both sides, right? I mean,
Alright,
we
what
saw
else in
Jay
Jarl?
the Thieves go for the roam. We saw Caddy
Mr.
kind of
Carl.
match
They have to hold
there we
that
go.
on as the gank comes in the mid lane. Moyo just taken out straight away. What a great ultimate from Zero Arm. That Onslaught of Shadows really shoving Moyo back into the middle of the mid lane with that fear on that. Very well aimed there by the Coin Flipper's jungler, as the Herald was traded back though in the favor of Bisk.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a
that was all right.
powerful tool, right?
I could tell that you were trying to formulate how to use the Onslaught of Shadows names in the middle of the casting on the go. Great ultimate from Maokai, using the Onslaught of Shadows to knock the Rise into the rest of the lane and picking that one up. And so I could tell that you're like working on how to bring that into the middle, and that's okay. I think it's good practice, but the goal to eventually get to is so that your entire, you basically used 3 beats, if you will. The great ultimate from the Hecarim, the Onslaught of Shadows to knock him back into the lane, and a good pickup by the jungler to be able to get this kill that's eventually traded back by the Rift Herald. So that's 3 effective beats of information, and all you effectively said was Hecarim ulted, right? So eventually learning how to condense that down, both a little bit by learning the skill names or just not worrying about the skill name and using it at a later time, to say, great Onslaught of Shadows from the Hecarim, the Rise mispositioning in the mid lane, feeling too confident, and getting punished for it opens up some breathing room for red side. But also, the reason why this whole thing happened was because the blue side's jungler, well, obviously, this is my third point, is just dragging on longer right now, right? The reason why all of it happened was because the blue side's jungle was getting Rift Herald. So he wasn't there to help the Rise in the mid lane and respond to that gank when it occurred. It also occurred very quickly. So making a third point about great gank by Rise, good timing to punish, or great gank by Hecarim, punishing the Rise for over pushing the lane, but Xin Zhao in good position already grabbing the Rift Herald means that it's not a complete loss for blue side. So I looked before I said it. Do you think I should just drop trying to use a skill name if it doesn't come to mind immediately? True. Okay, so there's 2 ways to do this. If you're doing professional casting, and I mean as high tier as you possibly ever get the opportunity to, absolutely don't use the skill names. Please don't worry about it. Just focus on casting the game. So when I casted for the LCS charity tournament, Wash Your Hands, I did not worry about trying to use fancy names unless I knew it. When I go to say Hecarim's ultimate, the words that actually come out of my mouth instead is Onslaught of Shadows, perfectly fine. But outside of that, don't worry about using it. If this is not a paid cast, and you're volunteering to cast this, and it's a lower tier amateur style esports tournament, then I'd probably say that it's actually fine to do this. And the reason I say that is because you have to get practice at some point. Unless you have so much time that you can just sit and practice casting games and try to run through all the different names of all the different champions and everything, you're probably not going to get a better time to cast it than when you're actually or practice it than when you're actually casting it. So I would say that in minor events and smaller tournaments, even when you're doing like Excellencies casting, it's absolutely fine to fight for that name and work it into the system, because Excellency is mostly about practicing your broadcasting and trying to get better. But if you're doing it for a paid event in which it's also a very, very high tier, or one that you want to highlight reel of or something of that nature, then don't worry about the practicing and just use the name. So Ultimates, Q, W, E, R, all of it's just fine. So I didn't feel awkward when I did it, but listening to the time I took to hover road made it. Yeah, exactly. And that's because you were practicing it when you were casting, and then afterwards, it's like, okay, I need to crunch that down and simplify. So now we've talked about that for 5 minutes straight.
The turret plating up, so you can get a whole lot of gold out of this Rift Herald. But kind of the smarter you are with it, the more gold you can get out of it. So we'll see where they drop it there. But
Zero armed. Going very low. He's going to get taken out. Jay of the Deeps picks up that kill. A little bit unfortunate. Red buff didn't go over to the AD carry, but the teleport forced out as well. Not really forced out, but expended there by Squib. Dragon is available, so it should work out in the end, and this might actually be a bad fight for the coin flippers as the fight does go in. Jay of the Deeps trying to get himself out. The Call of Forge guy comes through to knock up Recycleman. Cabby able to get to the portal, actually, and escape. These escapes are just great by this bot lane. Coin flippers, they might have to give up the dragon, but they at least don't give up their lives. Going very low. He's going to get taken out. Jay of the Deeps picks up that kill. A little bit unfortunate. Red buff didn't go over to the AD carry, but the teleport forced out as well. Not really forced out, but expended there by Squib. Dragon is available, so it should work out in the end, and this might actually be a bad fight for the coin flippers as the fight does go in. Jay of the Deeps trying to get himself out. The Call of Forge guy comes through to knock up Recycleman. Cabby able to get to the portal, actually, and escape. These escapes are just great by this bot lane. Coin flippers, they might have to give up the dragon, but they at least don't give up their lives.
Okay, that was actually really cool. So what I was doing there by looking off to the side is one of the things that happened a couple of years ago, and it was really, really, really incredible, was that if it's true, a blind person who used, with the help of whoever it was that was living with them, was using the internet to listen to the LCS Summer Finals in 2018, I want to say it was, one of the only opportunities in which Riot has allowed broadcasters to cast over top of the LCS's broadcast. Yeah, that should have been the end of it. I dragged it out. Bad Jake. So what happened was that when they came into the chat, they said that the true LCS broadcasts were sometimes too busy with the crowd roaring and the caster's noise to be able to understand what was happening. But the broadcast that we were doing was cleaner, crisper, and less noisy overall, that they could actually tell what was happening based off the casting. And what it taught me was that especially as a play-by-play, you should, in theory, be casting a fight so well that people who aren't watching the fight know what happened. And you can actually test this when you listen to LCS Broadcasting and Captain Flowers, but there are other casters that do it really well too, Medic, that take the game and break it down into the most important events that are happening right now. There's two things. One is quickly summarizing the position of the two teams at the beginning of the fight. Then, if you have time, then there's actually talking about the biggest importance in the actual fight as well. I don't know why I said it as well. It's obviously things like ADCs dying, frontline tanks dying, really big game changers. And then there's summarizing the end of the fight, which you've done a couple of times so far in this game. You've done a really good job of summarizing what happened by the end of the fight. You did a really good job at the beginning of this, saying that this could be a bad fight for coin flippers.
But the teleport forced out as
where is it?
Well, not really forced out, but expended there by Squib. Dragon is available, so it should work out in the end, and this might actually be a bad fight for the coin flippers.
Okay, that's right there. This might be a bad fight for coin flippers. Could have summarized it a little bit better, but it's totally fine, and I think it was solid, because what it sets up is for the person who's not looking at the screen, they're already in position is at least the knowledge that coin flippers might lose this fight. Now, you could have strengthened that by saying a 3v2 in favor of Doom, but, because that also says coin flippers are on the bad side because they only have two people there. Doom is, 3 members to 2. But essentially the same thing came across.
Then fight does go in. Jay of the Deeps trying to get himself out. The Call of
Jay of the Deeps gets out. Could also summarize with Morgana, but again, I love the use of the players' names, so that's great. Say that he gets out. And again, that's an important note was that it could have died.
Forge guy comes through to knock up Recycleman. Cabby able to get to the portal, actually, and escape. These escapes are just great by this bot lane. coin flippers, they might have to give up the dragon, but they at least don't give up their lives.
And that was a gorgeous ending as well, was that not only did you summarize the end of the fight, which was, again, you set up the beginning, coin flippers are in a bad spot. Blue side's person escapes, but almost goes down. Coin flippers nearly lose a guy, but he makes it through the portal just barely, and while they may have lost the dragon, they didn't lose anyone else. An incredible summarization of that. And so this is actually a highlight of casting through a team fight that allows somebody who doesn't actually watch actively what's going on to still have a solid understanding of what's happening in it. So very, very good job. Very good job.
Yeah, doing well to get out of that situation. I think they're probably going to drop the dragon here. Yeah, that is going to go down. So it's one dragon apiece, and that dragon soul is going to be oceans, no cloud dragons. This game, it's all oceans from here on out, but probably the most powerful soul, I would have to imagine. And both teams really can make a pretty good use of it as well.
Okay, so this is another point on the generic phrasing is Ocean Soul, probably one of the most powerful, I would imagine. Okay, first of all, mentioning it's Ocean Soul, totally great. Why is it the most powerful? If you don't know that it's the most powerful, that's, again, fine. But you can simply say that Ocean Soul, in my opinion, one of the most powerful dragon souls. Because you could argue with the souls all day long. What's more important is that which team gets the switch soul is most important. A Lux team that gets Wind Drake is amazing. She's got ultimates every 15 seconds, it feels like, right? It's insane. So Wind Drake on Lux team, excellent. Wind Drake on a Karma team, not nearly as impressive. She's got her ult up basically all the time anyway. She's just monitoring things, so it's whatever. Yeah, okay, the movement speed's good, but she's already incredibly fast, so she's just a little bit faster. It's all percentages anyway. So what team gets the Drake is also arguable. So because it's such an arguable point, you don't need to say that it is the most powerful Drake. You can simply say Ocean Drake, one of the strongest Drakes in my personal opinion, but then I would cap it off even stronger to explain which team I think most prefers the Ocean Drake. It's something I try to do in my cast, is going very quickly, breaking down and analyzing in my head, Ocean Drake, who would we want? Ooh, if I was red team's side, I would love the Ocean Drake. You have the tank Maokai, who wants that extra healing. You have the life steal and healing coming out from the Silas. And again, the entire job is to protect the Caitlyn, who passive healing will just increase that so much better. If you're the side of blue team, obviously you'd love the Ocean Drake too, but it's not quite as big of a deal because your whole point is that you're going to outscale anyway, so you're just trying to get through this mid game and then win afterwards. So which team is getting the Drake is important too. So
this will be hotly contested indeed, but keep in mind that it still does have that Rift Herald up, so a little bit.
Everyone says you're good at casting, or everyone says you need to get better at casting?
Both teams very even.
I think you're good at casting. I would not say you're excellent. I would not say I'm excellent, but I would say that you're good at casting.
Next little bit, it does seem to be that the coin flippers gold is growing a little bit faster than TDMA's is. So we'll see if that indicates anything here.
Oh, everyone says that Ocean Soul is good. I see.
For just like almost 2 minutes.
Yeah, everyone says Ocean Soul is good, but
it Squib, so they were getting 3 lanes of income versus
personally,
just 2.
I like Mountain Soul best.
A lot to do with it. As Charismatic actually has almost caught up in gold.
I mean, Captain Flowers thinks that Skarner is the greatest champion ever created. Does that mean he's right? Does that mean everyone else is wrong? It's an opinion. You're
now a little bit as this way
allowed to have opinions.
But he was almost
Screw Twitch
100.
chat. You're allowed to have opinions.
After those platings went over, he was able to get 2 platings for himself, the equivalent of a kill, and about 3 waves of farm. So
it's all situational.
Keeping himself
right.
in the game.
So that's where, again, talking about how Ocean Soul everyone thinks is strong, good point. Talking about how Ocean Soul on this particular team, because of these particular reasons, stronger. So think about ways that your casting can be strengthened off of it. Also, another comment to broadcasters.
In the top lane?
Turn the darn timetable off. No one cares about the timetable. No one cares about the timetable. Sorry, pet peeve. I just had to rant about it for a split second. Turn the timetable off. It's not that hard.
Up there in the top lane.
No one uses it.
At least sticking with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest kind of
Shout out to
discrepancy in the
Axeman.
gold as
Yeah,
far as
there you
champion
go.
to champion goes
It's
is in
so
the mid lane
useless.
Here. Yoshi Miner has like a 700.
Like, this is
gold
terrible.
lead. Oh, no.
Having the timetable but not having the team stuff is even worse than just having the team stuff, in my opinion. In my opinion. A lot of people use that space to do overlays over. I didn't build excellencies to hide it, but it kind of ended up hiding it anyway. It just was how the graphics ended up working out. So you can technically leave it up on Excellency's broadcasts, but
Caddy.
Gonna get just picked.
Discrepancy in the gold as far as just champion to champion goes is in the mid lane here. Yoshi Miner has like a 700
Caddy.
gold lead. Oh no, Caddy.
Gonna get just picked off. No escape for him. The ultimate's worth.
okay, so that's a situation that I probably... It depends. I think you guys did well because Axeman noticed that he's caught out, so he tried to pause to basically let the play-by-play happen, or the play-by-play take over and cast the fight, but it was already over so fast because he died nearly immediately. And so it's really hard to read the situation, so I can look back on it and say that best case scenario, Axeman basically just keeps talking and says, oh, because he even started that by going, oh no, and then just go ahead and finish it and say, Cabby caught out, great pickup by blue team, in position, Dark Binding lands, just picks up another one. You know, and so you can kind of lead in with that.
It's just champion
But-
to champion goes is in the mid lane here. Yoshi Miner has like a 700
Caddy.
gold lead. Oh no, Caddy.
Gonna get just picked off. No escape for him. The ultimates were expended. The Moonlight Vigil did come through just to make sure there would be no magical journey escape, as Cabby's been doing that many times this game. But a nice kill picked up there by TDMA. Just kind of wandering through the river with no vision, gets picked off for it.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely all of
Cabby.
the roaming supports, but you got to be careful of that one. Squib and Charismatic going at it up in the top lane, and Charismatic seems to be doing better than he has been, but Squib's still doing a lot of damage to that brittle proc. And yeah, both of them just kind of disengage here for the time being.
I'm waiting
As
to
far as the
hear
Sentries go, it's
talking
gonna
about
be
Vision.
A little under 3 minutes before we see any kind of epic monster.
Because that's what
spawning,
Bard
so
was trying to
it's gonna be
do,
mostly
was get
lane
Vision
play
around
here for the
Drake.
time being. It's gonna be a gank on Moyo.
Because
they're
you've
gonna
got
call
6
that one
minutes
off.
before Baron
Rise
shows
managed
up.
to get out
So
of the
there's
lane, just in
no
the
one's
nick
going to be
of
top
time
side
there.
for
That definitely
forever.
dispelled Doom
So
for
focusing your
Moyo,
vision
I
around bottom
believe,
side, and the next time
a
the
pretty
Drake
solid
spawns
gank
is
there.
bigger.
Yeah,
And that's
Zero
why
Arm just
Cabby
not
got
having a
caught
whole
out.
lot of- oh no, Tempered Fate goes.
And you can
wide.
see, they're
Doesn't
just-
hit
everyone's
JT
fighting
or
over
JWs
Vision on the bottom
bot
side.
lane. That's a rough one. Pretty solid cooldown there from Cabby, but yeah, just not a whole lot of solid.
I don't know what
Zero
Vision
Arm,
means.
a couple here. He has 2 assists. He's
That's
got something,
awesome.
but just,
That's
maybe not
awesome.
as much as he would have hoped here.
Yeah, vision control, knowing where people are. Good Dark
Ooh,
Binding.
actually back down in the bot lane. The ultimate going to come down. JLH for the great binding, going to get landed. Recycle being going to get taken out almost straight away as we move up into the top lane for this 2v2. The teleports are not
Good
going
summarization early. And
Me quick, I need help.
oh no,
Yep.
the
On
bounty
the
quicker
way.
picker
Dash on the
upper.
way. Come
Everyone-
on, guys, we go.
Everyone plays with their mouse by doing just this. Just churn the mouse. This wins. Just do this faster and you win.
Quick, the
Wait.
quicker picker upper.
It literally didn't even hit
No
anything.
biggie.
It literally didn't hit a thing.
That's right, chat. You gotta have bounty at your battle station.
My man.
How about you don't have an
back in
open cup right next to you?
Guys, I'm still knocked over here. Bounty, the
Also-
quicker picker upper.
I've seen this ad before, but would anyone watch a stream where it was only people's faces and they weren't seeing the actual gameplay that was going on? There's a difference between a chat stream where everyone's just sitting around chatting and talking to Twitch chat, but that was them literally playing a team game and you didn't even get, I don't know, it annoys me. I hate that.
Available Squib flashing out, gonna get taken out. Zero Arm trying to keep himself alive. The Triumph heal, not quite enough. Charismatic now dueling it out. Wet Noodle versus Big Spearman. As Biss now running himself.
He has 2.
Ultimate gonna come down. JLH for the great binding, gonna get landed. Recycle being gonna get taken out almost straight away as we move up into the top lane for this 2v2. The teleports are not going to be available. Squib flashing out, gonna get taken out. Zero Arm trying to keep himself alive. The Triumph heal, not quite enough. Charismatic now dueling it out. Wet Noodle versus Big Spearman. As Biss now running himself away. No mana really on Charismatic. Maybe enough. The flash twist in advance, but he has no mana for the Q. Onto the tower.
wow.
Bisk now on a rampage and a great turnaround. The mana just not available for Charismatic. He gets taken out. And that Herald push in the top lane could be strong, kind of countered out by this push in the bot.
Okay. So we're going to very quickly go through Jarl casted bottom lane team fight. Jarl cast a top lane team fight. Jarl analyzed top lane team fight. Jarl talked about top lane Rift Herald drop. Jarl talked about bottom lane push. Jarl, it's okay to let Axeman cover some stuff too. I get the hype. I get there's so many things you want to talk about. Trust me, I'm the worst at it. I talk so much. I started counting nows, but you actually didn't use that too many. It was just, I think, 2 or maybe 3 in short run of each other. And so it stood out a little bit more. But everyone says, now we see this, now we see that. You've shortened it down to just simply now. Not nearly as bad. I think it's okay. But good casting of that fight in the top lane, especially the Maokai going underneath the turret. That was an excellent play by Bisq. So, not sure when to stop. Yes, this is, everyone does it. Everyone does. Every color caster steps all over play-by-play casters because it's so difficult to know where the action technically should end. But that's where you have to trust your color caster to pick up where you are stopping, right? Because the very end here, so let's back this up here.
And the ultimate going to come down JDH with a great binding, going to get landed, recycle being going to get taken out almost straight away.
Into the top lane, Zinzao goes in, 2v2, Maokai's going to, or sorry, Ornn, excuse me, he's going to drop immediately, Hecarim going to fall as well.
Not quite enough, charismatic, now dueling it out, Wet Noodle versus Big Spearman.
Funny
Bisq
comment.
Now running himself
Bisq
away.
flashing away, okay, so that's another thing is that, well, you don't have to just say running away, you can comment on the importance of the fact that he burns flash. Bisq's flashing away, trying to escape a charismatic, following with his own flash roots, but it's underneath that turret, trying to knock him away, no mana, he goes down, ends a 2v3, a 2 for 3 in favor of blue side.
A rampage and a great turnaround, the mana.
And then all of this is the color caster.
Just not available for charismatic, he gets taken out. And that Herald push in the top lane could be strong, kind of countered out by this push in the bot.
Like, all of that could have been the color caster. There's no reason that you had to do it. Again, I'm preaching to the choir here, all right? I'm one of the biggest sinners when it comes to this. You could put me on a cross with how many times I use that. It's really, really bad.
Turret plating, right? The turret plating dropped about a minute ago. So.
Here's the other thing that I'm trying to work on, and it's this. If I end, once the team fight is truly over, and I just stop talking, my color picks up, they talk about whatever they want. I have at least 3 things in my head that I want to talk about, right? I wait for the color caster to go through what he wants to talk about, and let's say my 3 things are, 1 he talks about, 2 he talks about, but I have a 3rd one to talk about. I don't want to close my fingers and be in trouble. Then when the color caster's done talking, and it jumps back to me, I could be like, I saw those first 2 things exactly as you said, beautifully done, and here's a 3rd one that I was thinking about too, that I can comment as well to keep this conversation rolling. So it's good to have those things to talk about, but you don't necessarily have to talk about them immediately. What it means is that you have to exercise, again, being able to kind of section off a little slot over here. And it might not be a bad idea to keep, I should probably start doing this myself, keep a notepad in front of you. And while your color caster's talking and you're listening, you're writing down in your notepad, Rift Herald, out of mana, bottom lane push, right? Or bot turret. You just shorthand it. Super, super simple. And then if your color caster doesn't mention the fact that Rift Herald was dropping the top lane, so it's another turret over to blue side, then you can go back to your notepad and be like, oh yeah, I got you. So Rift Herald, Zinzao living in this situation means that he has Rift Herald to drop, blah, blah, blah. So.
Maybe would have done better to drop it earlier, but I mean, he gets the turret right, gets that first turret gold, gets the kill onto Charismatic as well. I didn't think he could do that, to be honest. I really thought
Zinzao goes on a killing spree,
yeah, very well played from Bisq to be able to.
I'll leave Axe nothing new to say. Axe can only repeat.
Him down there, but
it's kind of like an Axe, you know, it hits the same spot over and over again.
Yeah, just no mana available for that Q.
The true
I think would have
Axeman.
been enough. Cabby now could be in a decent amount of trouble. Just kidding, actually. Gets over the walls. We should be okay. Gonna take some damage from JT, but he definitely will survive that situation. As you know, we had to cut away from that bot lane fight. Ended up being a 1-for-1, I believe. Recycle being.
I hate when players do that. They trick you. You think a fight's gonna go one way, and then they survive. And you're just like, what?
The top lane
hacker,
I believe. So shouldn't be an issue there. This could be a 5v5.
Die when I say die. I'm the caster.
Yeah,
you're supposed to do what I tell you to.
Regen. Oftentimes how it goes.
Okay, I want to see vision on this. Give me a mini-map zoom.
Somebody solo the hot.
All right, so red side right now controls a ward here, I think they have a ward and bottom brush. It's really hard to tell because people are over top of it. They have Rift Herald. They have a ward here. They have a ward here. So blue side only has warded the entrance and a tri-brush in bottom, and they have one over dragon. Okay, so red side basically owns the river. Blue just has a sprinkling across the board, so they're pushing in to regain vision so that they don't lose this Drake.
Contested because kind of the buffs it provides that regen. Oh, here we go. Tempered Fan on JT.
Coming through. JT can find himself in a decent amount of trouble here. Gets hit with the black.
Okay, so that was actually Axeman. Excellent introduction to the team fight. Tempered Fate catching out JT. Great job. There was 2 issues with that. Listen to it again.
Actually,
Hottest contested because kind of the buffs it provides that regen. Oh, here we go. Tempered Fan on JT.
coming through.
Okay, so you're already talking a little bit slower paced when we're ramping up to a fight. You can tell we're ramping up to the fight. Both teams are really hard grouping. There's a fight coming very, very shortly unless everyone backs away, right? And you start it by saying, Tempered Fate, pause, or you say, oh, here we go, which almost always is an indicator it's play-by-play time. And then you come back in with Tempered Fate onto JT, and you kind of drag it out. And it's like, where is the play-by-play supposed to actually come in? Is it when you say, oh, here we go? Or is it Tempered Fate? Or is it at the end of JT, wherever it is that supposedly ends? So, again, just a small practice is, if you want to do an introduction like that, it's so good. It's really, really good when color casters are able to intro a fight like that. Tempered Fate catching out JT, but then end it on the hard note. End it on that flat period. Tempered Fate catching JT. And then play-by-play can immediately pick up from there. So,
JT can find
pass, man.
So, somebody solo the hottest contested because kind of the buffs it provides that regen. Oh, here we go. Tempered Fan on JT.
Oh, you were saying Tempered Fate, but Axeman was also saying Tempered Fate, which is why you kind of doubled up on each other.
coming through. JT can find himself in a decent amount of trouble.
But what you notice there, I'm going to back up one more time. But because Jarl was slow to actually get into the fight because he wasn't sure when to come in, he is now rushing through the beginning of this fight, trying to basically verbally catch up to where everything was. It's effectively, I can't do it because I can't use the pause keys, but it's essentially like slowing down the game and then speeding it into ×2 mode.
Coming through. JT can find himself in a decent amount of trouble here. Gets hit with the black shield, but it just doesn't make any difference. He's taken out straight away. Yoshi.
So he's trying to catch up to that point. With a decent amount of trouble, and this is something for play-by-play casters to do, it's really hard to do, is that there are times that we get into our comfort phrases of might be in a bit of trouble. It's a great phrase. We use it way too much, and it's stupid long. Might be in a bit of trouble. It's like 8 syllables, right? You could just say cut out, and it's 2. Cut out, probably dead. You know, you can summarize some of those sorts of things. But again, that's because it was already in your head. You were already in the process of basically waiting for an opportunity to say it, and then you had to rush it to get out because you were feeling rushed because the fight was basically already over by the time you started speaking.
Is now on a killing spree. Jay's going to get found out by that ace, and the whole onslaught of shadows goes over the wall with a nice fear onto Moy. A little bit unfortunate. Nice double stun coming through, and this is just evisceration off the map.
Double root, but again, I do it myself.
In favor of coin flippers as they split off for the tower and the
super nice.
Yeah, that was massive damage.
Solid ending.
There from the coin flippers, and Yoshi Miner showing that they're very far ahead indeed. But
JT caught dead. Yes, every team fight needs to be summarized that simply.
He's gonna get knocked.
Call Forge God, Brittle Stacks,
We talked about it in chat,
Squib hits,
there it is in action.
Silas
Squib is
Kingslayer,
just baffled
Caitlyn
by
Auto,
this
Piltover
point,
Peacemaker
scratching his
dead.
head saying, whoa, how did he get so much health back? That was 2 half health heals within the space of 10
awesome.
seconds. There for Yoshi Miner, Recycle Bin picking up that kill, and Coin Flippers just blow this game wide open with that fight.
Yeah, Carl, and there is no Grievous Wounds coming through from TDMA.
Are you Jarl, Carl, or both? I don't know. Axeman's calling you Carl. I've been calling you Jarl.
All the healing coming through from the Silas, all the healing coming through from
Bard. Excellent point. You're doing a great job of talking about healing. Let's see what the follow-up point is.
Completely uninhibited. I mean, Maokai even has a Spirit Visage. There's so much healing here on Coin Flippers. TDMA has to pick up a Grievous Wounds item. At least
okay, good.
One champion, right? I mean, it's just so
Good
important.
Axeman.
Healing is going to be the biggest factor.
Needing grievous wounds, Morale-Nomicon, something to cut the healing.
At some point, the Aphelios does have to buy that. You have to think one of the easiest ways
Good.
to get it across, especially with that
Well
ultimate,
done.
which can
Well
be
done.
so AoE. But I also want to point out just the kind of the discipline and the smart thinking.
All right, I will
They
change
won
and
that
call you
fight,
Carl.
And they, within the space of 15 seconds, got the dragon.
I'm sure you've
the
heard that 10
mid-tower,
million
and
times.
the herald. You know, they sent the jungler up to get the herald. They soloed out the dragon.
Okay.
With just a couple of members.
We're also getting close to that 20-minute mark, which I know this is game 1, and we've been spending forever on it. Are we, what, an hour into this video already or something crazy? But the thing to note is that, again, team objectives. Right now, at the 18-minute mark, we are
Killed the
8
mid-tower,
kills
well
to
done.
9, 1,000 gold lead for red side. But they are losing. Because gold is basically even between the two teams. One that needed a snowball, and one that needed to scale. The scaling team is 1,000 gold behind at the 20-minute mark. That's nothing. They're fine. The team that's ahead, or the red team, they need to get the Caitlyn ahead. She's got 2 kills, 1 death. That's almost nothing. Hang on. I think that my brother is... Wait, maybe not. Hang on a second. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. Well, I have a place for your laptop too. I have a place for your laptop too. So, you have an entire desk. Ooh, my phone was on like I think 6% before I plugged it in.
Oh my gosh, you've done a lot of rearranging in here.
Yeah, we cleaned up a bit.
So am I
Just a
here?
bit. Yeah, you can set up your laptop there, and then come over here if you want to join the video in the stream.
Are you?
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Nova. He's joining us on the broadcasting desk. Oh, did you crush my... you probably crushed my printer, posters. That's okay.
I don't think so.
That's okay. All right. So we're doing... I probably need to zoom out the webcam there.
You're
Let's
fine.
do this.
I don't need to be chilling in there. They don't need to see my ugly face.
You don't have an ugly face.
I think I very well might.
Okay. Doing VOD review.
Squib. So very nice macro play there by Coin Flippers, getting all those objectives in one fell swoop.
Yep, absolutely. So they got the 2 dragons, 2 TDMAs, 1.
2 drakes.
And, as I was saying before the fight broke out, the most important ocean dragons are the first one, and then the last
So
one. The first
we're
one,
just, like,
mostly
talking about
because
what's
that
going on, or-
regen.
Yeah,
of
we're
the
analyzing
Q
the
is more
casting.
important earlier in the game, right? Regen kind of falls off later.
One of those
There's
things that I
Matic
cannot-
is in trouble in the top lane.
Yeah, he's in trouble, but he could be here a while. Like we said, there's no healing reduction. You know, he's going down a little bit faster than I might have thought, but
He gets that.
not going to be able to get the auto tag in for some healing. He does go down, but that's
He
3 members
dies.
expanded up in the
Don't
top
need to
lane, and they're not
dies.
even still pushing. They're kind of thinking about it. Blue suede shoes are on. There's the stolen Moonlight Vigil in the mid lane. Was just that, just a bit of Moonlight, and that's now behind a cloud. That did not work out there for Yoshi Minor, but a good effort in the mid. As I tell a lie, they did push in the top. Tower did go down. Herald spawn in the bot, and we see a teleport coming through. Some interesting macro plays. Recycle bins in the bot lane with that Herald, and the Hecarim's now in the mid, maybe trying to go for a...
Okay, so Jarl, you kind of went through and summarized. Yeah, stole the fire from Axeman again. What you essentially did there was summarize what most people can see on the map, right? They push top lane turret, they drop Rift Herald bot lane, and they kind of push out mid lane a little bit. So you're just kind of summarizing the last series of events. But the big point is that you need to explain as a caster why that's important. Because blue side stayed top to get the turret. Well, I guess this is more Axeman than you necessarily for Axeman. He might, but we're about to get into team fight, which is why I wanted to talk about this. Because top lane stayed for the turret, it means that they are not available for this fight in the mid lane, in which Hecarim ignored the bottom lane where that Rift Herald is now spawned and is coming in to fight in this mid lane.
kill here on to the bot lane. Jay, the deep's going very low. Nice Zanya, they're trying to keep himself alive. Onslaught of Shadows comes through. Yoshimaru is now unstoppable, but the kill was traded back onto Zero Arm. JT going to go pretty low here, and the ace in the hole coming through for a nice kill for Recycle Bin. That is the blue buff going over to him as well. So nice kill there by the
Rift Herald
AD
was red
carry.
sides.
Did
That's
rotate
fine.
up after killing that bot tower.
Yeah, and you can
I wanna
see
hear
the
what
overall
Axeman
goal
says
lead
in
between these two
analysis.
teams is pretty close, but where it isn't close at all, Carl, is in the mid lane, where Yoshimaru... Oh, here we go. There's a
Speaking
fight.
of the mid lane, we're
Okay, so you interrupted yourself, but technically could have interrupted yourself,
See the
Carl.
overall goal
Or
lead
not
between
Carl,
these two teams is pretty close, but where it
Axeman.
isn't close at all, Carl, is in
Right
the mid
here. Call the Forge God is summoned. You know a team fight's going to start. So when you see that Call the Forge God, you said, Call the Forge God, here we go again.
lane, where Yoshimaru... Oh, here we go. There's a
Speaking
fight.
of the mid lane, we're going to have another
See, we're
fight
close, but
in
we'll
that
be
mid
back.
lane. The shutdown does go over 600 gold. Temper's Fate comes through for a bit of invulnerability for everybody. Yoshimaru trying to get to the portal. He's going to be able to get himself out as Biss going to be taken out by that Maokai who has teleported in. Yoshimaru looking to get back into this fight. Look at that healing coming through. Watch
Good
for that
call
in
on
these fights.
Yoshima
No
coming
Grievous
back
wound
in.
still. There's a nice stopwatch to buy a bit more time for himself. Should have that heal back available. There it is. Back to half HP. Charismatic now running for his life. The portal out by Cabby as well. And the 3 for 3 is kind of called up.
Okay,
That
we're gonna
in
back this up one
invulnerability
more time.
Is in the mid lane.
And I want
where,
Carl,
Yoshimaru-
I want
here
you
we
to just
go. There's a
listen
fight.
In the mid lane, we're gonna have
to
another
your
fight
tone.
In that mid lane, the shutdown does go over 600
Da-
gold.
da- da-
Temper's Fate
da-
comes
da-
through for
da-
a bit
da-
of
da-
invulnerability
da-
for everybody.
da-
Yoshimaru trying to get
da-
to
da- da-
the portal. He's gonna be able to
da-
get himself
da-
out as
da-
Biss gonna be
da-
taken
da-
out
da-
by
da-
that Maokai who has
da-
teleported in.
da-
Yoshimaru
da-
looking to get back into this fight. Look at that healing coming through. Watch for that in these fights. No Grievous wounds still. There's a nice stopwatch to buy a bit more time for himself. Should have that heal back available. There it is. Back to half HP. Charismatic now running for his life. The portal out by Cabby as well. And the 3 for 3 is kind of called out here.
Okay.
Teams step away.
You went one volume tone that dropped very slightly low for one point, went up very slightly up for one point, and then had one peak at the very end, right? So you can speak incredibly fast. You have good clarity, but maybe vary your tone just a little bit. Peaking at the end is good because you're peaking on a high point. That's fine. But let me try to give a little bit of variance here. I'm gonna try to copy you for a second. So
Yeah, and you can see the overall
Let's
goal
see.
lead between these
Once
two teams is
Call
pretty
Forge God
close,
comes
but where it
through.
isn't close at all, Carl,
I'm gonna
is in
follow
the
up.
mid lane, where Yoshimaru... Oh, here we go. There's a
Speaking
fight.
of
Call of Forge God coming through. That's a bit of a fight there. Yoshima dropping a little low. He's trying to get to the magical journey. He gets through it safe and out. Now the Xin Zhao's going to fall on front line, tanking away. Maokai and Bard being a little bit CC. Yoshima's back in, looking for the re-engage. He goes golden. Survived for a little bit longer. Squid's trying to have play to play. Flashes out. Rise coming in from the side. He's going to decide to back away, not keep the fight going forward. And so by taking that same intensity, same clarity, same enunciation, same all those sorts of things, but instead of you're like, okay, come on, you can do a little bit more than that. It's okay to then drop it a little bit low and then take it really high and then drop it really low and then take it really high because it just adds some variance to it. And again, that comes down to the key points need to be the high and the not so interesting points can be a little bit lower. And so high point, he makes it a magical journey. Now that he's out, let's go back down to low as Ornn is just sitting in there tanking away. And now he's coming back in, going in for the fight again. But now the Ornn's flashing out. The fight's probably ending. Rise is going forward. Rise decides to step away. And so it just kind of breaks it up a little bit. So
As the teams step away after trading 1
yes. It doesn't
And
annoy
I think
the
TDMA might have got off lucky
It
there. I
also
think the
helps
coin flippers had a
people
lot
who
more
are
in the
passively
by the way of
watching, like,
resources,
maybe, like,
especially in the health
watching
department.
the stream.
It
Now
might have been
something else
greedy, but
open
I'm
on the
surprised
side,
Yoshimaru didn't dive on that
and
one.
when
I
I
mean, there's a
get,
lot of mana
variance
from
in
Charismatic and
the
Tone.
Cabby as well.
Tone,
I think
it
they
helps me
probably
go,
could
oh,
have gone
it's
for the
attacking,
dive,
let's pay
but
attention.
it would have been pretty greedy, right,
Yep.
Carl? And I mean, this is the finals.
Which
so
is also
playing
why
safe
you
probably
don't want to
a better
just be
idea,
like,
but,
ah,
we're just
all
kind
the
of
time.
seeing this Yoshimaru early game versus
If you
Moyo
want
late game,
to answer it out there,
started to
that'd be
come through,
awesome.
And it's difficult to say that Moyo had like a bad early game. 'cause
Just
he
this
grind,
game. I don't
right?
have time for the
mean,
best
you
of 5. I've
wouldn't
taken
expect
forever.
him to do 2-2
Is this the whole best of
Scoreline
5
on the rise,
VOD? Yes, it
2-3-1.
has to
He's
be because
not
it's 2 hours and 30
particularly
minutes.
far. Side lanes too.
I'm going to try to wrap this up because I've just been going on for forever and
I think
ever.
Aphelios with the ultimate
But-
just offers a lot more as he is able to get enough items if this game goes late enough. They should be able to carry their team. Now, counterpart, exactly.
Hopefully
so,
I've been giving some really
even if Yoshimaru has
interesting
6
and
items,
good
if Moyo
feedback.
Can get to 4 items, he might be able to do something. For now, I think Yoshimaru is just too far ahead, but we'll definitely see as it goes forward.
Yeah, definitely. And now
This
where,
game takes
Moyo
2 hours
didn't
and
do
30
well,
minutes? Oh,
at
man.
all, really, in this early
This
game
must have
is
been a
in the
very
gold
good
department.
game.
He's 2,000 gold behind Yoshi Miner right now.
Counterpart, exactly. So, you know, even if Yoshi Matters at 6 items, if Moyo can get to 4 items, he might be able to do something. For now, I think Yoshi Matter is just too far ahead, but we'll definitely see as it goes forward.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm listening
and
for
now where,
vision.
Moyo didn't do well.
Please,
at all. Really,
someone
in this
comment
early game,
about
is in the gold
how
department. He's
blind
2,000 gold
blue
behind
team
Yoshi
is.
Miner right now. So like, that's huge, right? I mean, that's so big.
A lot of gold.
Dark Seal, yeah, fully stacked.
still
Dark
talking
Seal
about gold.
as well, and they're going to be picking up their third
Come on.
dragon here, their second Ocean Dragon as well. It's a lot of regen for a team that is full of healing.
I was
already,
hopeful.
So,
I was
it's
hopeful.
gonna be a team that's hard to kind of outlast, right? I mean, we could talk about the healing in combat and stuff like that, but if it's just a
I
case of
tried.
back and forth,
I had
win
hope.
every time.
I had
Might
hope.
see a fight. Zero Arm did go forward. There's the hijack on the Moonlight Vigil going to
Okay,
go. A little
so this is really big, and something to also note as well. It's okay. That flash burn on Aphelios is effectively a team fight won by red side. Because the flash on Aphelios went down, the divers are going to have so much of an easier time getting to him. Right now, Maokai has flash up. He could just straight up flash root Aphelios. With Aphelios' flash being down, it tells you that blue side is at a huge disadvantage because Aphelios can't step up to aggressively fight anyone, and there's so many divers on the enemy team that he probably will die if he does. What that means is that it's almost as good as killing the enemy team jungler, right? Because they can now go for Baron. There's no reason why they can't go for Baron.
short,
So
tell a lie, I thought it would be
highlighting
real
and making a
Moonlight
big
Vigil.
point
Still went a
about
little bit
how
short, though. That part
Aphelios
hasn't
forced to
changed
flash,
whatsoever,
that
and the
flash
was
going down.
extended by JT. So a nice dragon
Okay,
and
so
a
you
nice
do
flash
comment on it a
force
moment
with
later.
Just the ultimates from the top and jungle.
I rushed it a little bit, but yeah, commenting and highlighting the fact that with Aphelios' flash being down means that the map is now basically free reign for red side while they can do anything they want with the flash being down. So.
Healing reduction they've had come through is that it's on their ADC and on their jungler.
No, you're fine.
Much the two champions you don't want to send to stop a split pusher.
Pauses
right?
obviously
I mean,
don't
you
bother me because I can just fast
wanna
forward right
lose
past
your
them.
AD
So.
carry if you have to roll onto
In-game
that
pauses
big,
are a little annoying.
roll onto an
Actually,
objective, excuse
technically,
me,
I
you
should
also
have
don't wanna
analyzed
have jungle in
your
a side
ability to
lane,
fill time during the
top lane, for
pause,
instance, when you're
but
looking for a Baron. You want
I
to
was
send
kind of
solo
just
laners
speeding
that have
on
the teleport, right?
to the next fight.
Because
this is a Coral analysis, not an Axeman analysis.
Get baited does
Just kidding,
land the Dark
and
Binding on the
obviously
charismatic
analyzing
for his
everyone,
trouble there.
so.
That was interesting, but
Really,
yeah, you want to
best
send your solo laners
commentary
that
during a
teleport,
pause ever,
and,
I'm
neither
sure.
of their solo laners have healing reductions,
tier,
so it's still going to
100%.
be difficult for those players in the side lanes to be able to fight
Axeman
pretty
is
much
talking,
anyone
it's
on the coin
beautiful.
flippers at this point. They
Listen
all
to
have,
that
you know,
voice.
pretty considerable healing.
Absolutely, something to watch out for. We'll see how it works out in the 5v5 team fights. I think in the 5v5, if they do get one of those fights, maybe around an objective, if he's able to get, getting that recall in, 5 seconds earlier versus very well for himself.
TPs are
in this game. A
available
lot
for
of the items like-
everyone. All right, before this fight gets started, which it looks like Caitlyn got caught out. Recycle bin, what are you doing? Every single person has all ults available, all flashes available except for Aphelios's. Key, Aphelios's flash is down. And all teleports are available. So you might have said something about that before this fight gets started, but it's definitely as a cast or something I would make note.
For TDMAs, this might be the time for them to fight. Recycle Bin going pretty low as well. Tempered Fate coming out. Recycle Bin able to get himself out to safety. Double knock up.
Wasted call the Forge
Coin
God.
Flippers will be able to disengage from this fight, and the AD
Yeah,
carry
I
just kind
guess.
of heals
I
up.
thought they were
Immediately grabs a
engaging,
few
but I suppose they
spires
could have been
from Bard,
disengaging
and
as
he's
well.
Yeah, for sure, and I think you're right when you
Because they
mentioned
caught
that this now
Caitlyn.
is the time
Technically,
to
they were the
fight,
ones
for
engaging,
TDMA. Now
but
it's pretty much
there were
the
members of
threshold where they can get in the fight.
coin flippers
Get
engaging,
Ace or
so
Ace, get a reset in and go to Dragon. That Dragon's coming up in
suppose
less
it's
than 2
fine.
minutes now. And before too long, they're going to have to start thinking about setting up.
something
for
else you can always
Dragon.
make a comment on
They
is
wanna get a
what
fight in,
guns
they have to do
Aphelios
it.
has. It's nearly impossible to memorize
sure,
them all,
it
but
doesn't
I'm
have to
sure
be
that
taken
every caster
sooner rather
was.
than later. And they do see
it memorized.
the two members of the bot lane. Actually, I
What are
told
these
you
two?
the AD carry and
Those
top
two?
laner, Charismatic
Severum
Recyclement, up in the top lane. So a little bit of a
I cannot
split
get
here on the
Crescendium.
coin
I
flipper
get
side.
Severum.
This might be the
Severum's
time to
red,
look for something.
but
If
Crescendium
you
always
are
trips me up.
TDMA, although those
That's
engage
so
ultimates are not
silly.
available at the moment. They might be trying to even just dive this
Forge
tower. They
engage.
might be going
All
into
the
the
Forge
tower.
got
All the
grabbed
Forge
by
God has been
Silas.
hijacked and taken out. Cabby
Hijacked
going very low. The tower
Nice. Good
flashes
use of
himself
that
out. He might be
ultimate.
still alive on this one. Throws himself a heal to keep himself safe as they
Good
continue
bite
the
of
fight.
the
Bit's going to be
Zinzao.
going down. He's going to be soon followed by JT. Has been caught out
Another
in this fight.
huge
A nice
Ornn
knockup coming
knockup.
through, but Yoshimaru is just ripping through this team, picking up the 1 kill onto Jay of the Deeps, as well as the fight continues at 5 versus 2 at this point. Cabby now has rejoined his team. Squib going to get slowed down by the Storm Ranger. He is going to be soon to follow, and it is an ace coming through. A dive gone wrong.
So again,
might be
pretty
still
good,
DMA, although
pretty good
those
casting,
engage
Carl.
ultimate
The only thing is that again, if you just listen to the, I'm just gonna
are
play
not
it. I'm not gonna do any
available.
pauses
Yeah,
on
they
it,
might be trying
but
to
just
use
listen to
dive
the
this tower.
tone
They might be
through
going
it.
into this tower call. The Forge God has been hijacked and taken out. Cabby going very low to the tower, flashes himself out. He might be still alive on this one. Throws himself a heal to keep himself safe as they continue the fight. Bit's going to be going down. He's going to be soon followed by JT. Has been caught out in this fight. A nice knockup coming through, but Yoshimaru is just ripping through this team, picking up the 1 kill onto Jay of the Deeps, as well as the fight continues at 5 versus 2 at this point. Cabby now has rejoined his team. Squib going to get slowed down by the Storm Ranger. He is going to be soon to follow, and it is an ace coming through. A dive gone wrong.
One high
by
point.
TDMA as they are
One
wiped
high
off
point.
map.
The
This
Silas
is
ripping
look
through
there.
the team. That was
Yeah,
the
Coinflipper's be looking
one
for
moment
Baron
that
here.
you
I don't
raised
think
it
they have enough time to take
just a
both the
smidgen.
Baron and the
And
Dragon, though,
yeah, you
so,
could
while the
you can push
Coinflippers
that.
will
So
have Baron,
Baron
yeah, for sure.
should be the end of the game here
Yeah,
shortly.
just spawned.
Is meaningful at this point. As you see the fight, maybe continuing on the other side, teleports being forced out of Moyo, and this is just not an even numbered fight as they're going to continue to go in here. The Onslaught of Shadows was kind of canceled out by that Tempered Fate. A little bit unfortunate. JT able to get himself out, but Bisk is going to find just the release of death as he is out of this one. Moyo going to be taken down as well. Moonlight
Good use
Vigil
of
not going
release
to
of
get a
death.
whole
That was
lot
beautiful.
done here. We flip down to the bot lane, and Yoshimaru just kind of ripping through Squib, and overall, not a good fight again for TDMA. Losing 3 members, they're going to lose this soul as well, Axeman.
Yeah, for sure. And we're kind of seeing here what I was talking about is that the solo laners don't have healing reduction, so Squib literally cannot fight Yoshimaru. Like, there's, like, not at all. Yoshimaru
Now we
isn't
really
even
can't
taking
fight him.
damage. Yeah, definitely, right?
Oh.
Yeah, Squib goes down there to
Good
ace and
combination
unfortunate
from
for
Red
that
to
one,
grab
but,
that kill.
JT,
no.
run!
So many members getting
You better
involved
run,
in
buddy,
it.
and he does get himself out.
I'll
Gonna
get
get a
comment really
whole
quickly
Yeah,
on
for sure. We're kind
Axeman.
of seeing here.
Any type of introduction when you're kind of swapping over and going, yeah, for sure, or yeah, I agree, or any of those sorts of things, it's not nearly as strong as when you lead in with, I mean, a lot of casters do the stereotypical just agreeing with other caster, which is fine. You generally speaking don't want to feel like you're arguing or fighting against each other. I disagree. You're wrong. So things like absolutely, but you can lead in with, let's see here.
Yoshimaru just kind of ripping through Squib, and overall, not a good fight again for TDMA. Losing 3 members, they're going to lose this soul as well, actually.
Okay, so he sets you up with them losing the soul. And so you can start with, and once Coin Flippers gets that soul, they will be pretty much unstoppable. They're already massively ahead, and they have the passive healing that basically says that they'll be able to stall this, or to slow push this game in for a finish. I don't expect it to last much longer.
Yeah, for
Ornn
sure.
in this
We're
bottom
kinda
lane is
seeing here
lasting
what I was
about
talking about
as
is that
long
the solo laners
as
don't have healing
Blue
reduction,
side
so
is going to
Squib
last
literally
the rest of
cannot
this
fight
game.
Yoshimaru.
They
Like,
just can't fight,
there's,
and he's just
like,
going to fall.
Not at all.
So-
Yoshimaru
Now we
isn't
really
even
can't
taking
fight him.
damage. Yeah, definitely, right?
Ace in the hole dealt 4 damage.
Yeah, Squib goes down there to ace in the
Just a
hole.
little blip.
Unfortunate for that one.
But they still got it.
JT,
no.
run! You better
Yeah.
run, buddy, and he does get himself out. But yeah, healing reduction not there. Squib just ran for his life. He ran for 25 seconds and then got shot with a big pistol or a big gun at the end. Sniper rifle coming through from Recycle Bin, and the soul's been gotten. Dragon, or the Baron buff is still on these creeps. This might look to be a game-ending push, actually.
That's actually a point of where you're already high, Carl, and then you're going a little bit higher, which gets squeaky.
With a big pistol or a big gun at the end. Sniper rifle coming through from Recycle Bin, and the soul's been
Recycle
gotten.
Bin.
Dragon, or the Baron buff is still on these creeps.
Baron.
This might look to be a game-ending push, actually.
because you're already up here. Then when you go a little bit higher, you're kind of ended up in a little bit of a squeaky
This
point.
is a 5 versus 4.
I
but
sometimes do
don't
that
think they're afraid
myself,
of really
but
any fight now.
something
Coin
just to
flippers are onto
note
the
when it
first
comes
Nexus
to
tower.
that overall
That is going
pitch.
very low. Steps on a trap. This going pretty low.
If you
as
start
well.
a little
Net
bit
not
lower,
quite
then
gonna
you can
land.
get a little bit
Has
higher,
nice
and that's
gallop at
okay.
first, but it wasn't
And
quite
then you go back
far
to
enough
normal.
for him as another wave of minions is walking into the base now. The second Nexus tower is under fire. When do you take a fight, JT? Gonna get engaged on, has a back shot on his back to stay alive, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Tempered Fate comes through. They can just focus the Nexus Coin Flippers and the Onslaught of Shadows coming through. They would rather take the fight than just end the game. Why not? Let's just take this fight. They are going to continue this. The healing is just insane coming through. The Nexus goes down, and the Coin Flippers take the first game. They're onto the first
This
Nexus
last
tower.
fight,
That is going
so
very low.
it's
Steps
not
on a
gonna
trap.
last
This
too much
going pretty
longer,
low as well. The net
but
not quite going to land.
what I want to hear
but it wasn't
is...
quite far enough for him, as another wave of minions is walking into the base now. The second Nexus Tower is under fire. When do you take a fight, JT? Gonna get engaged on, has a back shot on his back to stay alive, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Tempered Fate comes through. They can just focus the Nexus coin flippers, and the Onslaught of Shadows coming through. They would rather take this fight than just end the game. Why not? Let's just take this fight. They are going to continue this. The healing is just insane coming through. The Nexus goes down, and the coin flippers take the first game over TDMA in this best
so
spot.
the only point that I wanted to make on this particular here was that, right, and it's fine to be impressed that they're choosing to fight instead of take the Nexus, but at the very least, pick one subject to talk about, and either or is totally fine. Either one would have been fine. You could talk about how, you know, let's back this up here, and I'll kind of fill in one direction, then I'll fill in the other.
The Baron buff is still on his. This might look to be a game-ending push, actually.
Red side coin flippers pushing in. They've won this game. It's only a matter of time. Maybe there's one more hopeful fight for TDM, but it's not going to last very long. You can see they're already backing up. Nexus Turret 1 is going to fall. Nexus Turret 1 shortly afterwards as well. It's just taking their time, letting Caitlyn, the Cycle Bin, just beat them up. The rest of the team going to decide to have a little bit of fun. They want a couple more kills. The Tempered Fate locking up 2. Can they actually get these kills? Axeman goes in. They got 2 of them. You can see Cycle Bin picking up 2 of them, trying to go for the next one. And yeah, there it is. Nexus being finished. Coin flippers picking it up. So that was focusing solely on, like, the game's already over, right? And so you're talking about how more importantly the turrets are falling. Or you can focus on, and this all depends on your storytelling. If your storytelling is that coin flippers have won and they're just slowly pushing it in, that's fine. If you're storytelling that TDM has one more fight in them left before the end of the game and it's a, you know, Hail Mary fight, then you can do that. But you ended up kind of trying to do both. And yeah, it definitely took me by surprise. They decided to kill more people and burn all these ultimates trying to grab another kill or 2 before the Nexus explodes. But that's not really for me at least, the identity of the story, because even this fight is so heavily favored in coin flippers' side. The coin flippers would have to literally all 5-man int onto the fountain for blue side to win the fight. Because they're just so far ahead. They're, what is it? Yeah, 6,000 gold ahead. They've got the ocean sold. Nexus turrets are literally falling. So for me, storytelling purpose-wise, I would rather be telling the story about how far ahead coin flippers are, and that now they're just walking the Nexus in, and that their performance overall was solid, and they had really good rotations and those sorts of things, rather than the story of, does blue side have one more fight in them that they can win? Whoa! And you just kind of pick that up, so... our storytelling is TDM can still win, baby. Please, oh god, oh god. You're leaving, no way, come back. We have close matchups, I swear. That's awesome. But that's an excellent explanation from a caster's side, where you're wanting to tell the story of this team that's super close and maybe they can squeeze out a victory at the very end here in a pretty hopeless situation. And you can hear that. You can actually hear that when you listen to the casting. That comes across on the casting is that, you know, it's as hype as a Nexus base race. It's as hype as a base race in a situation that should be completely unwinnable by one side. So I appreciate the effort, and I feel for the struggle in storytelling.
Was really
but
the game in that matchup.
Yeah, it was
and,
good.
It's kind of strange I didn't pick up on that from the get-go. Right? It's so obvious to me now.
Okay, I think, unfortunately, that is going to be it, because there's people that are now coming in. I've been at this for almost 2 hours, which is way too long for a single 29-minute game. I've quadrupled the length of the game in time, just in commentary-wise. But thank you, people, for coming out. 6 viewers. Whoa, there's 6 people that are watching this and actually thinking it's informative. And hi, Nova here as well, hanging out. You probably see him a bunch in the Excellency stream. So I am sorry to Rogue Panda that I did not get to your video. I will get to that VOD at a future time. This is not the only time that I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to try to keep on do this. Maybe I can pull it off once a week. We'll see. But at the very least, I want to be doing it on a case-by-case basis. And yeah, I'll definitely keep hitting you guys up as I get them. And hopefully you guys learned a lot from that, and hopefully I have learned a lot from that as well and can improve my own casting from that. So, yep, not a problem, Rogue Panda. I'll keep you updated. You guys have a fantastic night. Axeman and Carl, I hear that you are casting tonight as well. At least I thought I heard that you guys were casting tonight. And if you are, that's awesome. Let me know. I will probably throw up a lurk for it. I think we are streaming tonight. That's how it should be. More VOD reviews? Oh, you're hosting. Okay. Wait. Oh, you're not casting. You're just hosting. What are you just doing the hosting on? Is it like a analysis desk? You and Timmy, me and Carl, Baymax. I have no idea what's going on. There's so many names being thrown out. One person runs the stream, 2 people cast. Observing. Okay. Yeah. I call observing or broadcasting the same thing. So, yeah, streaming, observing, broadcasting kind of all blend together into one. But, all right, well, cool. Axeman, you probably do know about I think it's Control-Shift-Z, zooms out. That's super helpful. If you click the middle mouse, you can smooth pan around any team fight. So just test this before the stream if you don't already know this. Click the middle mouse button in the middle of the screen and then drag with the middle mouse button clicked around and it'll smooth pan around. I don't think I have time to actually pull up a whole thing. So I think I'm almost positive that right now the zoom out function to zoom, I'm trying to scroll out like I can zoom out and scroll out on a League of Legends game, is you hit Control-Shift-Z all at the same time. No shift. Maybe it's Control-Z. For me, it's Control-Z because I did this before Riot built it into the spectator. I think they're built in as Control-Shift-Z, but you might have to play with it or double check that. But there is one of them, so, well, we input code for that. Okay, I mean, that's fine. As long as you guys can zoom out, that's super cool. And then, yeah, the click the middle mouse button for panning around. You already hide the timetable. I'm trying to think if there's anything else spectator-wise that I do that's super helpful. I can't think of anything. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. So, got the zoom and smooth control set. Okay, cool. Perfect. That's all I was going to try to give you. So, X is hosting Pog Arenas. Well, thank you all for coming out. Have a great night. And Excellency will probably be streaming some really ridiculous games in a little bit at around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Excellency Esports. But all you guys, you have a great one. Thank you for coming out, and maybe see you next time for the next VOD review. Bye. Hi, Nova.